Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to PWW Talks. I am your host, Dan Burke, for this evening. And I am always, of course, joined by my co-host, Mac. It's funny, because I've been giving Mac crap the last couple of weeks about the heat that he's been having to deal with in certain areas. But tonight, I guess you could give me the Asshole of the Week award. Yeah. You know what? I threw you under the bus. I have no problem throwing myself under at all. Just because of the fact that when you realize sometimes if just certain things get pointed out to you, and then you kind of just reflect for a second, you're just like, wow, yeah, maybe you're right on this one. Yeah, so hopefully I can dig myself out of this hole before fucking Thanksgiving. Miracles have worked before, folks.
Cornbread, damn it, cornbread.
Yeah. It'll be humble pie, for Christ's sake. Man, this humble pie tastes like shit. Famous words of Fitzy after the Patriots lost at Super Bowl 42 against the Giants. I don't either. We don't have to. We don't have to. All I'm going to say is that Robert Kraft, are you better or worse with Gerard Mayo than you were with Bill Belichick?
Because I'm not booked.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. No. You chase the greatest coach in NFL history out of here, and we get stuck with a guy that literally cannot run his fucking team. And you expect me to sit here every fucking week. You know, it's funny, speaking of Booram, because he's actually going to the game on Saturday, and he's going to the game this weekend, which is funny because of the fact, and we were talking about it because he told me about it privately in a private message. And I said I would rather go to an AEW show, to be quite honest, well, the funny part is I'm holding it over his head a little bit just because of the fact that a few weeks back, they were in the Providence area and he could have got tickets for free, floor seats. And he said no. Yeah. No, it's fair. Yes. Yep. He would have. So would have I, because I wanted to go. And I told him that. So here's the part that annoys me, okay? So those same people that weren't at the show in Providence were given comps for the pay-per-view on Saturday.
Ooh, rare.
And I had to give him an explanation on why I was pissed, because of the fact that he was just like, well, AEW doesn't do anything for me. And I'm just like, it's not fucking about that. It's about going to a show with your buddy. That's what it's about. It's like, I have been to countless bad shows, but I was with people that were good, where I could, and including him, you know, like experiences after the shows were usually good. Because trust me, I've been to some bad tapings. We all have. We've all been to some bad tapings. Especially, I went to a couple. I think I went to one in 2019. And it was one of the worst shows I was ever at. But the drinking afterwards made up for it. Which is no longer in existence anymore, unfortunately. Apparently now it's going to be a Raising Cane's, however. That's the latest rumor. That was actually in the paper this morning, which I don't even know what I know what they are. I've just never had them. You know, so it was a little kind of, I wasn't mad. I wasn't hurt, but it was just like, I was annoyed because it's like, I would have went to the pay-per-view because especially if I'm getting floor seats. They also met some pretty decent talents and whatnot. And I don't have to mention the guy's name personally, but the friend that we were talking about is the Peter Griffin that was showed, like the guy that the cosplayer of Peter Griffin. Yes, it's Rhode Island's own Peter Griffin, and that's I'm not using his real name. I know his real name. I don't have to, but at the same, yes, I'm going to plug him because we discussed that today because I was just like, hey, it's and I was that also would have been really a fun visual, just hanging out with Rhode Island's own Peter Griffin at a wrestling show. It's literally like that. It creates a cutaway in itself. Like that's like the social media. I could have gotten away with that. I'm just like, so it's my time in Quahog. I guess with my vision problems, I would have to be Joe. But that ain't me. By any means, that is not me.
Boo Red.
That would yes, that would be him. Yes, that was him. So perfect. Yeah, and to be honest, with the pay-per-view, it was actually again it's the thing about AEW pay-per-views and AEW shows in general is it's like the AEW fans will say it was a banger night, and then you'll have the wrestler pundits that'll say like and that's kind of what I got from it. Mercedes and Statlander blew it down. They didn't like the finish, but they at least had probably Mercedes, I think, best match in the company. But the finish, again, which I think is a persistent problem with the company. I wouldn't blame that on Mercedes really at all, of just being like, because look, you get handed the finishes. The guy had gorillas handing you the finish, and he has shown me consistently that he's not really good at finishes. And that was, I heard rave reviews about Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. We'll talk about Kyle Fletcher also, by the way, quite a bit later when we talk about Sports Illustrated's 30 under 30 wrestler list, which Mac hates, by the way. Which when he brought that up, I was just like, we need to talk about that tonight. Because there are some names on that list I was just like, yeah. And there were some names left off, and I was just like, yeah. So it will be, I think, a lively discussion to kind of go with from there. But Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay, they now have the chance with the matchup that they had, where Kyle Fletcher now is in a position where he could be can be a really top star. How they follow it up is I don't know. There were Brian Alvarez said it, which I actually agreed with, of having Kyle Fletcher win the Continental Classic, which starts this coming week, which I actually agreed with, just because the fact that this is your chance now to really kind of push a guy that is young and has a lot of talent, pretty much a younger kind of carbon copy. I wouldn't say carbon copy, a younger version of Will, and has the ability to kind of do some character development. However, the question is, are they going to be able to follow up on it? I didn't like how they sacrificed Swerve Strickland to Bobby Lashley. That kind of bothers me. Only because the fact that you have Swerve now taking 3 or 4, I don't think he had, because he lost it all out. He lost it all in. He lost it all out. It was a non-sanctioned match. He's lost 3 pay-per-views in a row. 3 pay-per-views in a row. And I understand Bobby Lashley just debuted, big WWE star. Well, moderately big WWE star. Yeah, it's like, that's the thing. Like, it's just, you cannot give this, because now all you did was Swerve was you fed him to another guy that you brought in from WWE that in 3 or 4 months from now, you're probably not going to be doing anything with him. And you sign Swerve to this big lucrative contract, and you fed him to a WWE guy, which is what they have done countless times. Countless. All these guys that they bring in, and then all of a sudden, they're homegrown guys, they just get fucking beat. Leveled. And at that point, you can't do it because you're just saying that your free agents are better than your homegrown talent, which, again, is a reason why your growth has subsided like it has. Go ask TNA from 2006, 2007. Samoa Joe was red fucking hot. Samoa Joe was undefeated. Right away, they put him up against Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle beats him. That should have been held off at least a year. But no, they had to do it right away. Right the fucking out of the gate. It wasn't like either, like it was a hot finish. Simple tap out. Clean as a whistle finish. Simple tap out. So pretty much the WWE guy that just literally just walked off their TV from like a month ago just beat your fucking top guy. The guy that you've been building for like over a year. X Division champion. He's going to be challenging for the NWA championship. And you just feed him all the way to... It's like, come on. Come on. And those are the issues that in the long range, long-term memory that I have of companies that had everything going for them, had all the momentum in the world, and just keep making small to big mistakes. And the only time in history that a top guy from another company should have went in and defeated the top guy from another company for a championship was when Hogan beat Flair in 94. That's it. That's the only time I can see that and live with it, because the fact that Hogan is marquee. He has name marquee value. Flair, yes, in the WCW audience, he's the greatest of all time. To the mainstream wrestling audience, though, which is what WCW was trying to bring in, Hogan was the guy. They had to put the belts on him. First shot in. I don't like it. A lot of creative people also is something, because you book yourself into a corner. Because what you're saying there is you're saying the WWF guy, WWF champion who's been champion 5 times, just came in and beat our 11-time world champion. But again, it's swallowable, or it's more or less you can swallow it and digest it because it's Hogan.
I mean, listen, okay. It's funny bringing up Hogan and Flair in the context of this conversation. I think you're 100% right. You know, at that time, bringing him in, it's tough because it's Flair, though. You know, like I'm okay with it, I'm fine with it, but it's one of those situations where I still
mainstream disagree. Wrestling audience.
I and get it.
It's because that's the thing. Like, right? Because 1993, 1994, I knew who Flair was. We all knew who Flair was, but at the same time, 80% of the general public, they're not going to know who fucking Flair is. And it's because when Flair came in, WWF was already starting to lose their ground in popularity because of the steroid trial, other allegations that were other controversies that were happening up around that time. So and that Hulkamania era was beginning to wane. And that was when Flair came in. And yes, a lot of us were still watching, but there wasn't that huge audience that they had in 89 or 90, 88, 87. So it was, it was the established name of the hardcore wrestling fans, including myself, including everybody else. Everybody knew, except the fact that in 94, I was 11, didn't really understand the concept of drawing power and things like that. It's just like, I knew when Hogan went to WCW, though, and I accepted it. I was just like, well, yeah, him as number one contender makes sense. Like, right off the bat, because he's got all this, he's got the history and the track record. And it's the match that everybody's been clamoring for a decade. So, it made sense. Was it
made
acceptable?
Sense. you know.
I don't know. But it's not Lashley and Swerve because Lashley is coming in. And yes, Lashley won a WrestleMania main event. He was a 2-time world champion. He beat Drew McIntyre clean at WrestleMania. He has a very good resume coming in.
Yep.
But he's not in Chris Jericho's league. Jericho's name. I would put he's not Sting. He's not. I wouldn't even say he's Dustin Rhodes, to be quite honest. Lashley is. Lashley is very, very good.
He is, but I feel like he's more of a
Not great.
powerhouse. Yeah, I agree. I think he's more of a powerhouse style wrestler than anything else.
Him going to that company does zero for you. Because he doesn't, because it's number one.
It's not that. I'm laughing because, first of all, it's true. But second of all, it's like, I feel like more than half the talent, that has gone there has done nothing for that company in the first place. That's why.
That is true. It's a very true statement, but it's just, and then they're all pissed off because, Triple H didn't want to give the Hurt business a chance with booking. It's just like, why should he have? Like, you guys are all pushing 50. You're on the wrong side of 40. And they have a youth movement. Yes, I understand they have guys like Mysterio and AJ and all those guys on the roster.
You bring up a good point about the Hurt Business, though. And let me just interject for one quick second here. You still could have done Hurt Business 2.0 with the Street Profits. And,
you could have.
And made it more youthful because you already had them at B-Fab with Bobby. You had MVP hanging around.
Yeah.
And you could have just bring in Shelton as an associate.
They could have.
Like MVP. So they could have kept the older talent, but still bring in the youth. But I feel like once they got to a point and they weren't going to re-sign any of the three of them that went to AEW, Shelton, MVP, and Bobby, they're just kind of like, and dropped it. Which, is that Triple H's fault, or is that the talent's fault? Is it a little bit all of the above? I personally think it's all the above.
I don't know. Lashley, again, I think he's very, very good. I don't know what else really you can do with him. I think that may have been what Triple H's thought process was. I don't think it was because, of course, the allegations get thrown out. Well, no, not that at all. It's just sometimes talent. Again, like when you're a booker or you're a creative person in the wrestling industry, it's not like you can go and just get steaks for everybody. You just it's just you're getting a steak at Top Force. It's you got to have the absolute best ingredients to make the meal, and it's the picking of the ingredients. People need to realize that's part of it. That's a huge part of it.
Now, please go watch Knives Out, streaming on Netflix. That's all I can think of right now is you talk about ingredients.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, no, that's the thing, though, because it's like when you're a wrestling booker, because it's like sometimes when you're doing this, you have to be able to put, like Bobby Lashley might be considered like prime rib, and then you have somebody else in the roster that's porterhouse. Like it's one of those deals of you have to be able to figure out who the audience is going to go for and be able to put out there. Bobby Lashley, I think a lot of his booking in the last few years with that company had to do with the certain people in power that is going to be able to accommodate them because of how they look. I'm talking like how they're built. I'm not talking, that other thing, which redacted. Vince liked bigger guys. He liked powerhouses. So of course Lashley is going to get put in that kind of upper echelon. Lashley did very well against Drew McIntyre. He did very well against some other key talent that they put him up against. How did Bobby Lashley do against Roman Reigns?
I actually thought you were going to say Brock Lesnar first.
Well, honestly, that fucking joke that I think Lashley's WWE career ended the night that Brock Lesnar said that knock knock joke. It was done. It was fucking done. Because nobody at that point ever took Lashley seriously again. I can't remember anybody was just like, oh, Lashley, because it was over after that. He came out and he just said it just said knock knock, who's there? Bobby who? Exactly. It's like, yep, that's it. Done.
Well,
and I think Lashley kind of figured it out too. Like when he laughed it off, he's just like, yeah, he fucked me there.
yeah.
It was kind of a burial.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to say this real quick because I know we have a lot to get to, but I just think that if you look earlier, prior to Bobby Lashley, it was Edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say Edge aged out by any stretch of the imagination, but they wanted to transition him to a different role. That kind of like a part-timer, a special occasion, maybe, something backstage, off camera, or only occasionally on camera. Kind of like if you look at MVP now, that's kind of where I think they probably wanted to take Bobby after a while too.
Yes.
I think Bobby, and to Edge's credit, or Adam Copeland now, for those who watch AEW, I think that's not what either one of them wanted. They wanted to remain as main roster active talents, and I don't think that's something that they really wanted to do with them anymore. I think if Randy keeps going at the rate he was going, that's what's going to happen with Randy. He's eventually going to turn out, and he's going to say, "Nah, I'm done." I don't think he's going to want to do what they wanted to do with Edge, with Lashley, with MVP, and with others. I
don't think they would do that to Randy, though.
I don't think they would either, but I'm saying it's coming up on that soon, I feel like, because I think in the next 3 to 5 years, that's probably the rate they're going to want to go with him, because he's already, 44? If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he's 44.
So it's coming eventually.
It is. Well, I mean, they're doing less dates now than they were, too.
That is true.
I mean, these guys now are getting time off. I think TKO was like, I think they're 250 for events now. They're like, we want to get that to 200. They want to get it to like 150. So it's like they're at a point where it's like they want to just streamline everything and not make it like this huge deal. Which is what they should have been doing that for years, because in the 80s, 90s, it was live events. Gotta go there. Ever since like rights fees and things like that, you don't need to fucking go on to that. You're like, it's the live event business. Just
You're making my point for me, because let's be realistic for a second. Netflix is paying them how much? Like, that's all I'm gonna say. And
the only thing that live events, I think, really kind of did was be able to kind of give people like the feel of a live crowd and that type of stuff. But they have fucking development for that now. Like they have NXT. They have a tryout where people can sharpen their skills, where people can get, do, and they're giving people rings now, so that way they're able to work out at their home. Like they're having like that whole argument of like, oh, well, they got NXT. They have these developmental programs, not just NXT, but a lot of these places like the Nightmare Factory, a few others, that they're even getting up for this ID program. So I think that part of it is, But I agree with you on your argument though with Randy, because they could look at Randy in a couple of years and make that call, but I don't think they will, because Randy is important to the integrity and that history of the industry,
100%.
especially with them over the last 25 years. They don't want to lose him. They could have lost Edge. They could have lost Bobby Lashley. And the mainstream, I think, wrestling audience for them is not really going to notice. They're not going to bat an eye. Randy, they would notice. They would bat an eye. And, because you think about the reception that he got last year at the Royal Rumble, last year at Survivor Series when he came back.
Yeah.
Of course, I got blown out of the water, but poor guy.
We'll talk about that too, I'm sure.
Yeah, because they did release the footage on the year anniversary of all the backstage festivities when CM Punk returned last year at Survivor Series, and Orton made that comment of just like, of course you had to come the night I fucking returned. It's like,
pretty sure I said that too. Like,
yeah,
really?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the only other thing I'll say for Randy is I don't disagree with you. And the dude was swole when he got back, man. Holy shit. I think it's probably the best he's ever looked.
I think his, especially with his back, he had to do a lot of that core straight thing.
Oh, sure,
You're trying to get that back to be as good as humanly possible. And he says he can go 10 more years, which God bless him if he can. I mean, I would take Randy Orton. He's one of those guys that's like, I don't want him to retire ever.
No.
Because we're all going to miss that RKO once it's officially done. It's like, damn it. Somebody also, I guess, will have to adopt it at that point. But yeah, I mean, we start out with with the AEW pay-per-view. It ended with a literal fucking car crash. Which is the hilarious part. It ended with a literal car crash, which also boggles my mind why Darby Allin was really driving the car and they didn't have a stunt driver. That could have been dangerous, especially too when he came out of that and was like limping around. It's like, Jesus, you really want to kill this guy at this point? I mean, they're running out of ways to it because that guy, at this point, it's just like, we're going to throw him off a 50-story building and see if he lives. Okay, fuck it. Why not? That's how they would probably get a good Dynamite rating if they did that. Darby Allin is going to get thrown off a 50-story building tonight. Okay, let's watch it. But somehow it would be a 50-story building, but it would just be a mannequin. They would just pull some type of story on us. We'd be like, how the fuck?
Oh yeah, like TBS Takeover or whatever the hell it was the other week.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Moxley and Orange Cassidy was one of the deadest main events for a crowd I've ever seen, or heard for that matter. And I think it was just because of the fact that they knew that OC really didn't have a chance. And it was just too... Moxley didn't fucking sell that whole match. It was ridiculous. Oh, God. Everything he was just... And Moxley's just like... He's bouncing around like he's getting knocked around like he's the Undertaker when he was the Zombie, for Christ's sake, in like 90 and 91. And it's like, dude, you ain't even half that. You're like 240. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's... I get that Tony Khan wants to give some leeway to him and to some of the storylines that he wants to start creating, producing, whatever. But I don't know what it is. And I'm just like, I'm not engaged anymore. Ever since he came out with this like new persona, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Not like I really did begin with. I think everybody here knows that. But it's just, I'm even less engaged now. And to your point, I think everybody knew Orange Cassidy was not going to win this match.
Well, because it's the supposed rumor is, and this is what was supposed to be happening, was Darby Allin was going to beat Daniel Bryan or Bryan Daniels, or play the clip. You haven't played it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really have the deck.
I'm out of tune for that one.
Yeah.
Because
I was not prepared for that. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It's all right.
Daniel McDanielson.
Exactly. Daniel McDanielson. So he was supposed to beat him, and that was also supposed to be a big moment because they were both two Pacific Northwest guys. It was going to happen at Wrestle Dream, but it didn't happen. They went with the Moxley thing, and they were supposed to do this whole thing where Moxley was supposed to do this takeover of the company. For one thing, Marina Shafir as his heater is stupid. Because Marina Shafir's goddamn career has been over and has been dead ever since she cut that promo with the hat like 3 or 4 years ago with Vicky Guerrero. It was fucking terrible. So this is the last 2 to 3 years because I think it was done on Rampage. So that's how it made it to air. But it was bad. And you have Camille that's working with Mercedes. Camille's badass. Camille was one of the longest reigning NWA women's champion in a long time. Be a perfect heater for Mox, but you give him the charisma vacuum because that makes complete fucking sense.
It doesn't even make sense because I get it that she's an enforcer for Mercedes, but it's like it's not working.
No.
And it's not getting either one of them over. And
No.
to your point, neither is Camille getting Mox over. Mox is
Well,
able to do
Marina
that on his
Shafir.
own. Marina
Yeah.
Shafir, excuse me, yeah, right.
That's all right.
It's just
And then
I
it's
stand it.
And then it's two. They want to push Darby. They want to push Darby as like the top babyface and the guy that's supposed to take down this entire thing. And then they have him squashed by fucking Claudio last Wednesday on Dynamite.
I know.
Like their thought process is we can have the babyfaces lose every single time, and then when they finally win, like they'll be over. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. That was part of the problem with WWE for so long. Because they didn't really have any strong baby faces for that matter, except for Cena, because he would just win. But nobody else, it was all 50-50 booking. Problem is, you're not doing 50-50 booking. You're more doing like 80-20 booking, and the baby faces are only winning like 20% of the time. And it's been like that now for a while.
Well, you bring up a good point because, if we go back to WrestleMania 38, Seth Rollins did not have a match.
No.
He jobbed out to a returning Cody Rhodes. He jobbed out 2 more times. He had a losing streak going into WrestleMania 38. And he had that, after him and Cody was done, he had that redemption arc where he starts winning again and he eventually becomes the World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
Was the brand new title. That sold.
It took time.
It took time.
It took time.
But you can't have 2 of your top names being, or 3 really, if you include Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and Swerve Strickland, lose consecutive matches or consecutive pay-per-views, whichever happens first, and then magically have them win. It doesn't work. You have to give them a redemption arc to where they build themselves up to that, exactly like Seth Rollins did, because it makes fucking sense. You can't just have them lose consecutive pay-per-views, consecutive matches, go on months-long losing streaks, just to be like, hey, I won again, and I won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Here's another perfect example. Who comes out and at one point looks like he's teasing to challenge Moxley? Hangman Page. Hangman Page lost earlier in the night to Jay White. Why the fuck is he out there trying to challenge Mox?
Exactly. I thought that was so dumb.
The
whole ending of that match.
Plus, he's a heel.
Yeah, exactly. The whole ending of that match and then everything that happened after that match was dumb. I get that Orange Cassidy should lose. I'm okay with that because, again, nobody expects him to win anyways against
And I
Moxley.
like Orange too.
I do too.
I like Orange.
I
I like Orange Cassidy a lot. Like people think that and I understand again with Cornette and I, we have a lot of similarities on history and stuff like that, but on modern wrestling, there are a lot of things I disagree with him on. And
Orange Cassidy is one of those.
Orange Cassidy is one of them because I think Orange Cassidy is an excellent worker. He has some great matches. He has a great ability. And the fact is that he has a gimmick that is very low effort, but it's super fucking over.
It is.
And you really can't go against that, in my opinion. You really can't kind of go against the grain in that. It's like you have something that captivates the audience, so you got to stick with it. And I don't hate Orange Cassidy for that. But my next point, Orange Cassidy, in my opinion, should not be a world champion. He can be a Continental Classic champion.
So I'm going to agree, but it's like a soft agreement because here's my thing. Right now, current gimmick, I agree. However, if the gimmick was changed to he had more fire to him, and not just this low effort gimmick like you're mentioning, that's where I would say I'm okay with you being world champion.
Yeah, you have to put him in a position, though, that he's like that. A position where he has to become a killer. And
I don't think he needs to be a killer, Dan. I just think it needs more effort than what he currently does.
More sociopathic, then.
I mean, he doesn't need to be Moxley. He doesn't need to be Moxley.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to be Moxley.
But
he needs to be that never say die baby face.
Yes.
That's what you need.
Yeah,
you need somebody that's just like he's willing to go through. And that's the thing. Like they're talking about with Darby Allin. It's like, who has Claudio beaten of any significance in the last year? Darby Allin could beat him and no one's going to give a shit. And the fact is that you're trying to build him to get to Mox. So him losing beating Claudio makes all the sense in the world, because then you can put him against Pac. Then you can put him against fucking Wheeler Jerkoff. All these guys to get to Mox.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't get into that guy for the fucking life of me. It's just never going to happen. Again, he's in the 30 for 30 list, so I'll probably go more in detail on that later.
I believe he made that list too. I just can't.
Because I'm not booked.
75 fucking guys on that roster that look like Wheeler Yuta. He doesn't do anything better than anybody else in that company. And he doesn't have a presence of anybody better than that company. Like he's just a good indie hand.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's actually what I was about to say too.
That's it. He's a good indie hand. That's it.
Yep.
So where do we start now? Do we go with do we want to talk about a little bit about Raw and then go into our Survivor Series?
I don't even think we really need to talk too much about Raw. The only thing I would say about Raw,
the New Day thing is something I kind of did want to debate on. Well, a little bit.
The only thing I was going to say is we could talk about that, and I feel like we could talk about, which I feel like a couple SmackDowns ago, people probably saw this coming. There's going to be a Women's Intercontinental Championship as well.
Yes.
That's going to be, I believe,
on Raw.
On Raw. Yeah. But I think they're going to start a tournament, much like they are on SmackDown next week after Survivor Series, if I remember correctly. I think
18 total championships between all three brands, which, of course, everybody has been pointing out that between Ring of Honor and AEW that they have less titles. But I also point out to them, Ring of Honor doesn't have fucking TV.
But so that's first of all. Second of all of those are on TV at any one time.
That's true.
These titles are broken up between individual shows or nights. So I think that's kind of that big difference that a lot of people don't really realize. And being realistic for a second, Raw is probably going back to 3 hours.
Probably.
If it's not been announced, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I'd be shocked otherwise. And there's heavy speculation that SmackDown's going to go to 3 hours on Fridays.
Yep.
So that gives more opportunities for those titles to be showcased and defended. Having said that, though, I think the other thing we should probably talk about on the lead up to Raw is what happened on Friday with the attack on Jade Cargill.
Yes.
So there's a lot there. It's just packed into this 2 hour rusher that I just didn't really do much for me last night because we're recording on Tuesday this week since it's Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoys their Turkey Day.
Yeah, but go ahead. I know you want to talk about the New Day.
I feel bad for the suckers that have to deal with the Cowboys and Giants on fucking Thursday.
I feel bad for
Jeez,
the
that game is going to be terrible.
People, man. If you're a retail employee, God bless.
That too.
God bless.
It will be nice though seeing the Lions just continue to maul teams on Thursday.
For a change,
my God.
too, because that is how many years have we sat through Lions Thanksgiving games that just sucked?
If you are an NFL fan, I don't care what team allegiance you have, I don't care what region you're from, hometown, all that shit. Get it? I understand. Unless you live in Buffalo and a few other cities that have never won before, here in New England, Kansas City, places, even San Francisco and Pittsburgh, we've all had Dallas too. I'm going to throw them in that fucking category, considering their team blows. The fact of the matter is that as time goes on, as time gets closer, as we get to the playoffs and things of that nature, everybody in the U.S. should be a Detroit Lions fan come December, January, and February. It's an amazing story. It is something that, again, this is the equivalent to the Cowboys. This is the equivalent to this Cubs in 2016. This is the equivalent of it right now. And this is something that I think people need to get on board with. This is a franchise that has been severely deprived of any type of meaningful success. And now they have the opportunity. They have the right person behind it between Dan Campbell. Gotta love the guy. Is it Dan Campbell? Yeah, I think it's Dan Campbell.
Remember,
I don't know. I just, but it's one of those things that people need to get behind. It's not like a situation where the Cleveland Browns decided, oh, we're just going to blow shit up and give this idiot $230 million guaranteed. They went out and decided we're going to go get a guy that people had written off as our quarterback, and we're going to make him one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and we're going to win this fucker, and we're going to build an elite defense. Okay. We got to get behind it. Back to wrestling. So
I mean, listen. Before we move on for a second.
Yes.
I have to agree with you. Number one, but number two, it's like if you enjoyed and felt like that a couple of years ago when the Rams won with Matthew Stafford that he deserved it, the Lions now deserve it too.
Oh well, yeah. I mean. What a story for Jared Goff, too, because I was hard on that Jared Goff train for so long. Of this guy sucks, especially to when he was the Rams quarterback going up against the Patriots in Super Bowl 53, where he was shut the fuck out and didn't do dick. The best pass he threw the whole game was to Stephon Gilmore.
Yep.
So that's the reality that Jared Goff was facing for a while from the most of us. But Jared Goff now is in the conversation for NFL MVP and also in the conversation for being like, they're going to build a statue for this fucking guy if they win this thing.
Seriously.
It's like immediately this guy's getting a statue right outside Ford's Field. He could still be playing next year. They'd still build him a statue like within a week.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how, Detroit deserves this one. Like they just do. Like, I'm not going to try to sit here and be like, oh, my team sucks. I've accepted it. I've understood it for a while. So I got to have somebody else kind of get in there. So again,
listen, Goff is, it's like every time we try to switch, Goff is only 30 though. So, I mean,
yeah, I know, which is surprising.
Yeah. I mean, even if he loses this year, if they can keep that core of the team together, they're going to have a chance, man. Because
I still remember when him and Carson Wentz, because they went 1-2, I think.
Yep.
And of course, I was just like, wow, that's the worst 1-2 combination in history. They both ended up terribly. And it's like Carson Wentz is probably bagging groceries somewhere. I don't even know if he's a backup, actually, at this point.
I think he is, but I don't remember.
Okay. But then you got Jared Goff now, and it's just like, well, how the tables have turned.
Last time I remember Wentz, I think he was playing for the Commanders, but I don't know where he is now. I'm gonna look real quick. Hold on.
Talk about a guy whose stock fell hard. My God.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, he's the backup. He's on the Chiefs actually.
You're kidding.
I swear to God. I have it on Wikipedia right now on my phone. He played for the Eagles for the first 4 years. They played for the Colts for 1 year. 2022, he played for the Commanders. So, like I said, that was the last time I remember him on a team. He played for the Rams last year, so I'm assuming he was Stafford's backup. And 2024 to present, he plays for the Chiefs. So I'm assuming he is not going to play anytime soon if he's backup or third to Mahomes. I don't know.
Unless Mahomes blows his ACL or his Achilles, which you never know.
No. But it is a new day after all, so who knows? Shit!
That was good.
Speaking of the new day, Dan, I know you want to talk a lot about that one. That was a great segment last night.
That was juicy.
Woo!
That was some tea. That was some shots being levied on both sides on that one.
They teed him up at Top Golf and then swinging for the fences, man. Holy shit!
You wonder now who's going to be the one to just say, "Oh fuck it," like who's going to be the heel out of this? Because both of them really kind of
made the arguments last night. For
yes,
sure, man. Yeah,
but you know what? That's the thing. Like both guys now. I mean, obviously, we're headed towards either a brutal breakup or a reconciliation, or it's going to be some type of, could it be a rocker situation where we get on the same page and then one of them just cuts them off at the end, and just because again, it's the 10-year celebration that's supposed to be happening now next Monday on Raw. Which brings me to two theories. My first theory is we're looking at a rocker situation where we think that they reconciled and then one of them at the end just fucks them completely over. Mm-hmm. That's scenario one. The question is who's going to be the one to do it. That I think is the toss up for me. I think both guys proved it in their conversation last night that either one of them is capable of doing it to each other. That was one thing that I give Xavier credit for, is the fact that they finally addressed the elephant in the room for the last 5 years, is the fact that Kofi Kingston has his career recovered from the interception by Brock Lesnar. Like, number one, why do you run at him to start off? This is what he lives for.
Yeah.
He's just going to catch you and toss you. Okay. And that's, I mean, it was a great story heading into WrestleMania 35. Is he going to be the first, I hate to even use this terminology, but the first. Yeah, exactly. But like, was Kofi Kingston going to win the championship and finish his story, right?
Small.
And he did. And then all of a sudden, how do you end it? Oh, Brock's just going to finish him off in like 15 seconds.
I don't even think it was 15. I don't think he made it.
I don't even think it was 15. I think it was under 10. It was under 10.
I think it was under 10.
And yeah, it wasn't addressed. And then you had the Big E injury, which happened just over 2.5 years ago now, which leads me to my next theory. No one has made any heads or tails of the Big E health situation. It has been very hush-hush. He's kind of come out publicly with it and said that, he's still got to get tested, that certain things need to line up, and there's still, though, a slight possibility that he's going to get cleared. I don't think that's going to happen. But what if it does on Monday? What if Monday we go into this thing thinking it's going to be like a funeral? Instead, it's just the resurrection because of the fact that Big E comes out, the announcement is made, I'm cleared. Then what? Now does the New Day then get a bit of a resurrection and a resurgence? WWE now finally gets some more depth in their tag team roster, another faction that they're going to be able to work with. Big E can finally get the main event push that kind of got taken away from him creatively at one point, and also the fact that physically, because of what happened with the Billy to Billy by Ridge Holland. So there is the outside chance. I'm not saying it's the complete 100% answer, but there is an outside chance that what happens is that Big E announces that he is cleared. And it's now the New Day at full strength again. And again, it's a good kind of feeling, good story to come out of it. Now the New Day finally has some direction. Because the fact is that if Big E does not return, they need to end it because both guys, I feel like, have been directionless for almost 3 years.
Just about, yeah.
Ever since Big E got hurt, Kofi Kingston.
I'm not even actually gonna say that. I'm gonna say it happened around the time that it was RK Bro.
That's fair. Yeah, that's okay.
I think even at that point where it was RK Bro, they were the tag champions, and then the Usos became undisputed champions. It was still before that. And then to your point, yeah, once Big E got hurt, it was like the nail in the coffin, I feel like.
Yeah, because Big E, that's coming up on 3 years.
Yeah.
I think like March, February, around that area.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, so it's coming up on 3, which makes me think that with a lot of the hush-hushness and things of that nature, that maybe Big E comes out and big, like, shocking announcement, Big E is cleared and he's going to be back. I could see that happen.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to agree with you either.
It's a small window. Don't get me wrong.
No. That's not what I'm saying. It's not about Big E. However, I do feel that if he came back, I think there are just alternative options at that point. I think they're just as likely if Big E returns where they stay together. I think it is just as likely that it's Kofi and Big E and Xavier Woods walks.
That's a distinct possibility.
If you remember when all this shit went down, who was that whisper in the ear of Xavier Woods? That is now the whisper in the ear of The Miz, Karrion Kross. Which, interestingly, if I have my math right, it would be one girl versus one girl, and then enough members of the Final Testament against the Wyatt Six.
Yeah.
If my math is right, they could do that. I think, listen, at the end of the day, is it likely? Probably not. But same token, there are so many variables to this story that if you add the Big E factor in, the Big E factor in, you just open yourself up to more of what those variables could look like. And if Big E does not return, I 100% agree with you at that point that they need to squash it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said this to you in pre-show, if they squash it, it needs to be Xavier Woods versus Kofi Kingston at Saturday Night Main Event.
Okay. You're right.
You already have one grudge match that's been announced, and it's Kevin Owens against Cody Rhodes.
But it's not even a grudge match for the title.
It is kind of a grudge match.
It's a grudge title match, of course.
It is, you're right. But this will be another grudge match to add to that card.
Yeah, and I think also it would be, it would be an interesting story because again, it's just no one really expected these guys to even the thought of being broken up. These guys have said several occasions it's just like, oh, we're never going to break up and all that
10
stuff.
years,
Which
man.
very few teams have hit this milestone. Very
Yeah.
few,
Yeah.
and it's something to be celebrated. And in my opinion, they're without question they're in that category, the upper echelon of one of the best tag teams in company history.
One of
It's
the greatest
even
factions,
groups,
period, yeah.
yeah, even factions. Not even just WWE history, but in wrestling history. And they kept things entertaining during a very dark years in that company's history creatively.
Yep.
And they got away with a lot. And they and they sold a ton of merch. Again, they were another group, I think, that kept that company going and kind of afloat when things were really, really dark.
Yep.
And they deserve all the praise in the world. But if Big E ain't coming back, the bloom is off the rose, guys. You guys gotta move on. And I think Kofi, I've always had a soft spot for. I've always thought he's like a decent kind of performer. And he's got a good kind of charisma behind him. Xavier also has very good charisma. My problem with him is I never really have been a fan of his work in the ring, at least. I think because he's not as athletic as Kofi, and he's not as like strong as Big E, and that's
I always thought that Xavier Woods could be a great mid-card champion.
yes,
But anything past that, I agree. He didn't have the size of the power of Big E. He didn't have the athleticism of Kofi, and that's not to take away from his talent. I think he is incredibly talented. I think he's a much better tag team wrestler than other tag teams out there.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
No,
I love it when
dude, look at Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso was a great tag team wrestler. He is not a singles competitor. I'm sorry.
Marty Jannetty was a great tag team wrestler.
Exactly.
It's just there are guys that it's not a bad thing. The only guys I've ever been able to see it where they've been able to kind of. Even Matt Hardy's a tag team wrestler. Let's fucking face it. Like he's a mid Carter, but at the same time he's his main event draw is a tag team. You look at guys like Edge and Christian. Yeah, they were able to break it. Where both guys became main event talents. That's rare, very rare.
Yeah.
Usually it's rare that the guy is able to, that the tag team stays together and able to stay, because let's face it, the New Day even getting to this point, because 5 years ago they could have made the argument that the New Day was no more because Kofi won the championship.
Yeah.
So they could have said after 5 years, it's like, well, we're done, but they won another 5. So, I mean, I can't really, it's a tremendous milestone. I think it deserves to be celebrated. So it's either going to be a bloodbath on Monday, or it's going to be one of those moments where everybody's going to start crying.
Could be both. Who knows?
It could be both. Yeah. Because crying of tears of joy instead of crying tears of pain. That's one thing I think people need to realize, because, if Big E comes out on Monday and says he's cleared, there won't be a fucking dry eye in that house. There won't. And also it'll be a legitimate shock that's something, because we haven't seen Big E in the ring. We haven't seen Big E around those guys in years. A long time. So them coming out, doing that celebration, and Big E just looks at it and just has that heart-to-heart conversation with them and just said, this can't end. Because I'm cleared. Oh shit!
Yeah.
That gets everybody back on the same page, and that's how you continue this thing. But if Big E is not coming back, he's not going to be cleared. End it. That's all I can say.
There is that third option though, that Big E does come back, but he comes back as their manager.
So he turns on both of them. That'd be good.
No,
I'm cleared, and he just beats the shit out of both of them.
I don't think so, man. No, I think if he's going to come back, it's going to be as an active competitor, and he's going to want to keep the New Day together.
Yeah.
Or he's going to come back as a manager. I think the biggest thing for me is you've had him announcing the pre and post shows at PLEs. So why can't he come to the ring and be the manager? Like I just I'm not trying to be a jerk by asking the question. I'm theorizing here. Like why can't he? And maybe that's the case. Maybe he is going to come back, but it's just as a manager. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't come back at all. Maybe he does come back and he's going to be an active competitor. I personally, I'm not for or against any of these options. I do have a sense that it is going to be a bloodbath out of what we just discussed, but it's one of those situations where it's like, I don't know that Big E coming back saves this marriage, as it were, between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I just don't. And that's not me being negative or pessimistic. It's just that's just the way it's going. And if you watched Raw this week or past week, depending on when you're listening or watching, you kind of get the vibe that's the way it's going to go.
Right.
Because the shit that they said to each other, like the Brock Lesnar's, like not being good enough to be champion, like the Kofi Mania thing, like Xavier Woods taking risks where maybe he shouldn't, all of that mattered. And all of it was relevant to what is now going on between them. So I'm glad they went there because it was an awesome segment.
Yes.
I think it was probably the best segment they had all night, honestly. But, I think for a go home Raw, it was kind of tough to top what they could have done. And the one thing that I'll say for Raw that built up is it built up SmackDown this week because apparently Roman Reigns and CM Punk are going to have a face.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring that up. I'm like, I think everybody's focused on Friday just because of the fact of that, which again, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. I've been saying it for like a couple weeks ago. I even said it a week ago. I said, why is not CM Punk involved in this program? And then Friday, lo and behold, he comes out with the returning Wise Man. And that's because Wise Man called in a favor, and the favor has been called. And now, I mean,
I want to ask you one question before we go, actually.
Yes.
One question. Just one. Because, actually, I'm going to ask you two about SmackDown. I'll ask you the other one later on.
Okay.
The one I want to ask you right now about SmackDown is, what is your thoughts about Paul Heyman's attire?
Okay. I think that because I understand what people are pointing out, and I'm not blind to it. The red shirt, I get it, because everybody's just, oh, that's a solo thing.
Yeah.
I just I don't again, I think it just because you have to create this perception that there's so much turmoil in the OG bloodline. Are they on the same page? Yeah, they had the big, the last couple of weeks. Oh, everybody's working together and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, this new nucleus. It's like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Like Roman's looking at this and he's just like, this fucking guy, really?
As soon as Paul came out, I knew it was Punk.
Well, it could have been Brock too. I mean, they could have pulled that out.
No.
They could have. Yeah, I think we all knew it was going to be Punk, but
There's too much history with Brock and Roman for that to work. There's really zero history between Punk and Roman. It made sense.
That's not true.
I know it's not true per se, but that was like what? How many years ago at this point?
Well, when you go out and you say publicly, and you say that on a podcast that was released 10 years, which is so funny now. It's around that same time that podcast came out. Yep. But when you go out and you say that Roman was not my first choice for the Shield, and Roman has went on to become the fucking star, mega icon for that company that he has become. And the other comments of like, oh, you got to make him look strong and things like that. That is going to be addressed, and that is going to be addressed loudly and clearly by one tribal chief.
And I'm sure
the
it'll
fact
be
is,
addressed on Friday, no less.
oh, of course, that is going to be another, because they haven't had that face to face yet. There is that heat there, because you're looking at it from the face of Roman Reigns, he at this point is one of the biggest pillar icons in the history of WWE.
Absolutely.
And Punk wanted to be in that position badly. Like, it was his life's dream to be in that position. Is he in that position now? Yes, of course. I think he is. But I also think at the same time, it's like he doesn't have the resume and the 4-year, 3.5-year run that he did have a 1.5 year run. But I think Punk is kind of kicking himself because he's just thinking to himself, yeah, I probably got to take a couple more runs out of this. I think working with Vince, there was no other way that CM Punk was going to come back to WWE unless somebody else was running it that was not Vince McMahon. I did not expect, however, that he was going to be coming into the company with Triple H running things. And
well, I think that's perception and reality and all that.
that was I think I knew I as soon as he got fired with cause, I just said that was like my radar went up. I'm like, oh shit. And then when you hear Survivor Series is at Rosemont and you're like, oh shit. But then there's that thought of like, I was for sure that he was going to show up at Survivor Series probably within 2 weeks, my perception had changed. I was like, I'm lowering this now to like a 25% chance. Going into the event, I was probably at like a 35% chance it was going to happen, but it happened. And the last year has been fucking amazing. It's been so great seeing him back into that company because look, folks, I'm not going to sit here and because I have had to kind of go through my way of my ranking systems and things of that nature. And after going it through this week, Roman Reigns and CM Punk are both in my top 10. So it's interesting looking at those guys now and saying they're working on the same page. The common denominator is Paul Heyman, of course. They're both Paul Heyman guys. They're both guys that Paul Heyman thinks extremely fond of. And now they're going to work together on the same page. And I think everybody going into this thing is concerned, how is this going to play out? I don't think that I wouldn't say concerned. I think everybody's just like, how is this whole thing going to play out? Like, because this thing has had so many twists and turns. When Roman Reigns said that they're only like the third inning of this bloodline storyline, it's like, yeah, you're fucking right on that one, pal. Jesus Christ, this thing's what is this, a best of fucking 7? Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm just saying that because it is very, you can be out of this storyline for months on end. And then as soon as certain things happen, you get sucked back in. You're like, oh, fuck, I'm back in again. And that's what happened with this thing. You just forget about it. You put it in the back. You're thinking to yourself, Cody, championship reign. And Cody is not even on the card on Sunday.
I was going to say.
On Saturday. He's not even on the card.
Yep.
Because they don't need him. They got
If anyone's
War
going to sit
Games.
there and tell me that Cody's not going to be there, though, you're kidding yourself.
Oh, no, he'll be there. Like
he's absolutely going to be there in some
he'll make an
capacity.
appearance. I'm just saying that, like, he might get the night off. You don't know. I don't know. Like, they might give him the night off just because the fact that, like, he's got a family and kids.
It's a big 4. He's going to be there. If
they give him you never know. Like, it depends.
No, but I think he's going to be there in some way. I just do.
True. He comes out and he helps out the the OG
Hey,
bloodline.
man,
You're like,
maybe
what?
he's the sixth guy, and they have a 6-on-6 because The Rock is there too. Who the hell knows? Strangest shit could happen, man. You never know.
I do think that we're going to get a heel turn from Seth Rollins out of this. Big time.
Let's talk. We're already kind of at that point. I think we could actually talk about the show since we're already kind of doing that at this point. The only other thing I'll talk about with Monday is we get to the women's match, which is more relevant, obviously talking about it there. But
It's kind of hand in hand.
it is. That's why
yeah.
we'll do it when we get to the women's match. But for the men's match, since we're already talking about it, we can start there. I agree. I do think there is some kind of Seth Rollins heel turn coming. It might be just unintentional because Bronson Reed is on the heel side. I don't know, but I definitely look for him to be involved in the outcome of that match in some way.
Not in the outcome of the match. I'm just saying that this is going to be, because you think about it with Roman and Cody teaming up, that the ramifications that came for Cody with Kevin Owens turning on him, or in Kevin Owens' mind, Cody turning on him. This is the same thing with Rollins now, because Rollins, all of a sudden, he's got the personal rivalry with Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is in War Games.
Yep.
Roman and him have history.
Yep.
Roman never asked him to be a part of the match. Sami Zayn did.
Yep.
Jey Uso did.
Yep.
Not Roman Reigns. So there's going to be heat and repercussion from that. And then, of course, the other big one in the room. You're letting this asshole who talked shit about us for so long be on your team.
Yep.
He didn't pick me, and we were like blood for how long? So now Seth has a point to be pissed off at CM Punk even more, be pissed off even more at Roman, and be pissed off, and Bronson Reed again is just sitting there snickering.
Yeah.
He's like Muttley right now from Wacky Races for Hanna-Barbera. He's just laughing hysterically at this whole thing. And that's what's gone on with this. And that's another great aspect of Triple H booking is it seems to be a butterfly effect. Every decision that is made by a babyface or a heel all comes back to bite them at one point or another. Kevin Owens with Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Bronson Reed. All these paths lead to usually the same thing. We're getting CM Punk and Seth Rollins at some point, probably at WrestleMania. It's about getting there. That's the point. And
you bring up a good point. And I don't want to interject here, but it's such a valuable remark that you just made, because who's to sit there and say that one of them walks in as world champion, or neither one walks in as world champion, because maybe one screws them on Saturday, and maybe both CM Punk, or maybe all three, maybe CM Punk and Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins are all in an elimination chamber, and one screws the other, and then it becomes a WrestleMania match. Or maybe somehow they knock each other out of the Rumble because they're fighting too heavily and just get blown out by Bronson Reed of all people.
possibility.
It is, and that's why I think planting those seeds now, kind of like you're talking about to a degree, is just so important. And that's why, even if it's not a heel turn per se, I think Seth does factor into this match in some way, shape, or form. And
especially considering the fact, I hate to cut you off,
No, go
sorry,
ahead.
but
It's
I just
fine.
need to get, but you mentioned the Royal Rumble and the
Yeah.
fact of that neither one of these guys, Seth, CM Punk, Bronson Reed, are the odds-on favorite right now to win the Royal Rumble. The current odds-on favorite to win the Royal Rumble on the men's side is John Cena.
Yep. I hate it. I hate it, but I know
It's
you're right.
annoying.
It is.
I mean, the thing about it is he hasn't been an active competitor in so long, so it's like at least full time for that matter.
No, I know.
Which this year is again, it's his final year, so he's going to be doing a huge number of dates, at least for him of where he's been in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And man, it's just that black cloud, and I know it's the farewell tour. It's the last year we're going to have to deal with him, but the last thing I want to do is to have somebody's momentum sacrificed to please old Johnny Boy on his way out the fucking door.
Yep.
That's the problem.
I agree.
I feel like having him win the Royal Rumble, it's like, what? Is that way you can win 17 at WrestleMania? It's like,
but I hate it. I'm not even gonna bother. I hate it. All right. So if you had to make a choice in this match, who do you think wins the men's War Games match?
oh, gee.
Yeah.
Even with all the dissension, it's just like you're pretty much, that's a fucking super team right there.
Yeah, dude.
'Cause
It's like the Yankees versus like the worst team in the league.
literally right now what this is you have Aaron, you look at Aaron Judge is Roman Reigns and Juan Soto is CM Punk. And then you have the three other guys who are no slouches by any means.
Yeah.
But you were talking about like this is Ruth and Gehrig.
Yep.
This is Ortiz and Manny Ramirez. This is a combination. It's Shaq and Kobe. This is a combination where it's like you put up against any era at any point. And you're talking about two of the absolute tops at their position at their game. And so that's on one side. And yes, they have some heavy hitters on the other side.
Do they though?
Jacob Fatu, Bronson. You got Jacob Fatu, who's a goddamn war machine. And Bronson is also
those two. Yeah, but
yeah.
Do you really include Solo in that? Do you include Temp Tonga and Tongaloa? I don't.
Tongaloa is literally one of the worst wrestlers in the company.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just
Botch King, Botchamania,
just bad. And I want to give him the benefit of the doubt too, because it's like that's all I want to do. Because he was what they did in New Japan. It's like, come on. But it's you. This is a. You're right though. This is a major league ball club going up against a minor league team.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Marlins versus the 03 Marlins versus the 03 Yankees.
Dude,
which, I guess the Marlins can come back and pull it off, but still.
It's like we're playing a home run derby here against like Dan's create a character Yankees against like the Montreal Expos. Oh wait, but the Montreal Expos don't exist anymore. Exactly. It's just I don't know, man. I have to agree. I think the OG Bloodline wins this match.
You're not going to put CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the same team and have them lose. It's like, no, you're not going to do that.
No, and that's kind of where I was thinking that maybe if they do end up losing, it is because of Seth Rollins or somebody else.
That's a distinct possibility. But like the thing about War Games matches is it's like, you can take the L and it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Because, it's team warfare. Like, that's the thing with these things. It's like, okay, you lost, but you didn't.
Well, let's just for sake of argument here, let's also remember the rule that the match does not officially start till all competitors are in the ring. And the advantage match is on SmackDown this week, and it's Jey Uso versus Jacob the 2.
Oh, God.
That's going to be a match.
Oh.
Yeah. That's going to be a match.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Yep. That's the advantage match set up for Friday.
Well, I know who's got the advantage on that one.
Yep.
They already pre-taped. I thought. Didn't they?
I don't know if they did. I
oh,
wouldn't be
okay.
surprised though. I don't think it was actually discussed, but if I haven't seen any results, so if it was pre-taped, they've kept it under wraps pretty well. Or maybe just people aren't doing spoilers to speak, which would be even better. But I do want to transition, since we started with that match, ironically enough, I do want to transition to the women's War Games match because, as I mentioned earlier, SmackDown this past week, Jade Cargill is attacked in the back, head through the windshield, whatever else. WWE has released their injury report. And for those that don't know what a WWE injury report is, it is just a lot of big words that don't make any sense.
It's a word salad.
Yeah, word salad is good. Good. I like that. May have to steal that. I did hear a couple rumors as to why this happened. I'm not going to get into the speculation of that. However, I will get into the speculation of what the match has now become versus what the speculation actually was. So speculation of the fill-ins for Jade Cargill, who is now out of the match officially, as was announced last night. I heard it might be Becky Lynch. I heard it might be Charlotte Flair, and then I heard because it was Charlotte Flair, maybe it was Charlotte Flair that attacked her, kayfabe as it were, and that's going to build a program when Jade is healthy, quote unquote. I heard so many different things, but as we found out last night, Team Bianca or Team Rhea, because it seems like there's dissension among the ladies on that team. Whichever team both of those ladies are on is going to have the advantage after Bayley came out and helped Bianca Belair win. So that team will have the advantage, as I said. And then after Raw went off the air, all the artwork and stuff like that, which I have scrolling at the bottom of the screen, was released, and Bayley will be the 5th member of that team. Which should be interesting.
Considering wait a second.
Yeah.
Didn't her and Io Sky just face off and have this big breakup at WrestleMania?
Yep. That's exactly why I said it was going to be interesting. Because during that conversation before this match, Io looked a little worried that
of course
they were talking about Bayley as the possible 5th member. And as Dan just mentioned, yes, he is correct that Bayley and Io Sky had a women's world championship match. I'm sorry, women's title match, I should say, not the women's world title. The undisputed women's title, I guess it's called. I don't know. But
the SmackDown Women's Championship.
SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah. I don't know. Women's WWE Champion. Thank you. Women's WWE Champion. Yes. Where Io lost the title to Bayley at WrestleMania before she then lost it months later to Nia Jax. And it seems like this whole circle of, hey Naomi, I'm gonna let you face Nia. Hey Bayley, I'm gonna let you face Nia. And now they're on the team with Bianca Belair, with Rhea Ripley, and with Io Sky. That's now the team. I don't get it. And they're gonna be facing off against Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Candice LeRae for some god-awful reason that I just don't understand. Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. I even without the advantage, man, I feel like the heels are going to win this match. I love Rhea, don't get me wrong, but the heels might win it.
Thus, it could be a perfect opportunity for Tiffany cash-in, too, concerning the fact that
she's got 2 world champions.
2 world champions on one team.
Yep.
And again, we've made the it's not really an argument, but we've had the discussions that Tiffany Stratton pretty much is a fucking babyface at this point.
I need them to stop booking her as a chicken shit heel.
Yeah, but again, the turn's coming. I mean, you know what it is.
Yeah,
it's just You got to do it at the right time. You got to do it with, I think, some meaning. I honestly think if she did it in War Games, because then it's a historic event. It's never been done before, where it's just like, oh, War Game. Oh, shit.
I
He
just,
cashed in.
you know, as you were saying that, I just thought of this. Um, and even if you take the women's Money in the Bank out of the equation for a second, Tiffany Stratton has had a hell of a year.
Mm-hmm.
She was in Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the Rumble. She was in Money in the Bank. And now she's in War Games.
And we all said she was going to steal the show at Elimination Chamber, and she did.
Absolutely.
And we all said going into Money in the Bank that this is the choice. And Triple H again listened to everybody and just said, "Yep, we know. Don't worry, I know." And that was, look, she is a absolute goddamn star, and the absolute biggest possible way. And the fact of that, you put a picture of her and Sydney Sweeney behind, like next to each other. Come on, folks.
Oh my
Come
God.
on. It's like you have your own version now in that company. And it's like, posters. Do it. Do posters. Like, especially some of the pictures that you just see floating around the internet. You're just like, God damn it. But it's not just also the fact that you put her in the Trish Stratus category because she's a pinup model, but at the same time, she's an ass kicker too because she's a fantastic in-ring worker. Like,
She's,
and
I think she was in the Olympics, wasn't she?
yes, like she
For
is
gymnastics.
just ridiculous. Just ridiculous skills, and just somebody also that understands the game as a character. And that is something, she has things in this industry that you just can't teach.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with like Bianca Belair. It's the same thing with Rhea. Like, you look at the talent in this matchup, and you can make a solid argument that 7, 8 of these women are all future Hall of Famers. 7 or 8 of these women are all future Hall of Famers.
I'd say 8.
8.
Yeah.
Who would you leave out?
Raquel
Well,
Rodriguez.
Candice LeRae.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I was prepared for that, and she is one of them. However, she is, as far as I recall, anyways, still your WWE Women's Speed Champion. So technically, there are 3 champions in this match. I forgot.
Yes, that's true.
Tiffany, do not cash in on her. Do not blow your money in the bank on Candice LeRae. It is unfortunately Candice LeRae, though. I love Candice. She's incredibly talented, but I just feel is snake bit compared to the rest of the women in this match. And the other one is Raquel Rodriguez. Also snake bit compared to the other women in this match. I think Raquel has a chance if they can get her to be a little bit more mobile, I feel like, because I feel like she's a little clunky in the ring at times.
Mm-hmm.
And also get her a real meaningful feud / storyline, which I feel like she could with Rio, with Bianca, with Jade, even with Charlotte to a lesser degree, especially as a heel now with some of these other characters. And dude, listen, even with Nia, even with Tiffany, she could do it. It's just she has to be given the opportunity to be showcasing her skills in that regard because she is a powerhouse. So I would say 8, tentatively 9, but out of all of those women right now, if we're going to exclude any of them from the Hall of Fame, right now it's Candice LeRae. And Candice is not getting younger either. Just I hate to kind of say it that way, but it is the truth.
Yeah, I mean, she's a part of that couple, that power couple with Johnny. And I like Gargano a lot.
See, listen, I don't hate Johnny Gargano either,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say it this way: they gave him a chance. I think it was 2 years ago at War Games, or no, I'm sorry, Elimination Chamber. It's Elimination Chamber, and they gave him a chance. I thought he did really well, but then he got hurt, and I don't think that was anyone's fault. It's a dangerous match. Let's be
Nope.
real. Elimination Chamber, War Games, Hell in a Cell, any of those cage matches or cage style matches can be incredibly dangerous. Even if you take the cage out. The last two cage match or Hell in a Cells, excuse me, that I remember, people have gotten hurt, and that was Edge and Finn Balor, and most recently with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. People got hurt.
Right.
Both pretty much required stitches. Finn Balor required stitches in the match itself at WrestleMania. And I'm just gonna throw it out there that these are dangerous matches. Gargano got hurt, and then after he got hurt, they really did not give him a singles run. They put him right back with DIY with Ciampa, and he became a tag champ. Great, but I feel like again Gargano is a little bit on the small side. Number one, and number two, kind of going back to what I said before about Xavier Woods, I think he'd be a great mid-card champion. But again, they got to put these people in those positions to succeed. And I feel like in some cases, it's hard to do that now with the roster that they have. But go ahead. I apologize for cutting in.
No, it's fine. I'm not. Yeah, because I always look at guys like Ciampa, guys like Gargano, and unfortunately Candice LeRae, and they had a great run in NXT.
They did.
But at the same time, with me, it's always been but, and that's just how it is with them for me. And it's nothing against them personally. I think they're great talents. There's other people. There's unfortunately a little bit more talented people that, because you only have so much TV time. You only have so much time to develop these people. You only have so much time to, and it's not by lack of trying. I think everybody in the world has tried to get these guys and the talent in here to be able to be showcased and be able to be put in a position to draw some money and for people to gain interest. And it just hasn't been working with certain people that have translated from NXT and over to the main roster. And Gargano, Ciampa is in that category. Candice LeRae is in that category. They had a chance with Shinsuke Nakamura, but Vince fucked him completely. Beyond repair. Beyond repair. And it's just, that's the one you can sit there and just earmark and say, yep, that's the one you fucked. That one there.
It's funny you mentioned that because that was actually the next match I was going to go to.
I know, right?
Was for the U.S. title, champion LA Knight defends against Shinsuke Nakamura, who seems to have debuted a new character and just came back. Exactly.
So, are you going to have Nakamura beat him on his return, or is Nakamura going to lose on his return? Which, again, I have a problem with.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to shift gears to this match because, first of all, there's 3 title matches on the card now. We found out on Monday Night Raw, so we'll get to the Intercontinental Championship next. This one we pretty much found out last week. I feel like if they give Shinsuke a match on SmackDown and he wins, I would be okay with him beating LA Knight on Saturday.
Right.
If not, I don't want him to win. And it's not like a I hate him thing. It's I disagree with giving talent that just comes back, especially also debuting with a new character kind of deal or a new gimmick, as it were, to then beat an established champion that is, I'm sorry, way the fuck over. He's still way over. he
I know.
still gets some of the hugest pops on any given night.
He does.
To have him job out to a returning Shinsuke Nakamura who's debuting a new gimmick, I think is a huge mistake.
I agree.
The only thing I'm going to say is this. If, and I feel like it's a big if, Shinsuke Nakamura wins, they need to push LA Knight to the fucking moon. Just saying. Your thoughts, though.
Well, we've said it. We've talked about it on several occasions that if LA Knight loses the championship at any point, that he automatically should be then in the category of challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship or for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And problem is that that's kind of, he'd be kind of like a square peg in a round hole at this time, because the main event scene is kind of, I wouldn't say it's overflowing, but it's up there. Yeah.
So hold on. So let's talk about that, because that's a good statement, right? Is he though? Because you're already gonna have on Saturday Night main events, like we talked about before, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens.
Mhm.
You very possibly, especially depending on what happens on Saturday at Survivor Series, could very possibly do Roman Reigns and CM Punk. You're probably going to redo, I'd be shocked otherwise, Seth Rollins and Big Bronson Reed.
Gimmick match.
Probably as a second match, yeah. If not, maybe just a regular match. And then
You got to do something like Last Man Standing or something to kind of, because I think it's got to be a gimmick match.
I wouldn't do that just because that's what they did with Braun Strowman. But you're right.
You could do their second match, and then you have Bronson beat him. Of course, you beat him on network TV now and on Peacock Live.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden now you have a guy, okay, they're interested. You get a third matchup. Problem is, the third matchup wouldn't happen until you either got to book it for like the first Raw on Netflix, which is a very distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Where that could be the draw of you have match number 3, and it's a gimmick match at Netflix, because your next PLE is not until February, and of course that's the Royal Rumble, which you do not want Rollins, I don't think, unless he's challenging whoever the World Heavyweight Champion is, which is also a distinct possibility, because if Rollins wins the title, let's say if he wins the World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble, and then CM Punk gets you see where I'm going. But
well, hold on. So there's a couple more scenarios here, right? So we don't know when Drew McIntyre is coming back. It's very possible that he comes back either that Raw that you're mentioning, the first Raw on Netflix, or around that time,
or even Saturday Night's main event.
That was actually the next I was going to make. He could definitely come back there as well. So depending on when they do all of this, right? Like I said, if he loses on Saturday at Survivor Series, maybe it makes sense to move him to Raw, because if we look at the World Heavyweight Championship later on in the evening, or depending, when we talk about it here, I don't think Damian Priest is walking out with the title. And you would have still a heel Gunther versus a very, very big baby face in LA Knight. Is it likely? Probably not. But it is possible, because they're going to need a new challenger for him soon, and I can't think of a bigger babyface that may or may not be involved in another program at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair assessment and a fair argument of him switching over to Raw and him challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther's nearly not going to have any challengers for a bit. Because it was pretty much confirmed on Monday. Usually when the champion gets laid out going into the pay-per-view, historically, the champion usually retains.
It's 2 weeks ago they laid him out too.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's like, because you're making him, you're. It's pretty much one of those deals of where it's like, oh, you got to question his confidence level going in. Is the Cody loss in his head? Like you have to. That's the kind of storyline coming into this. You have Kaiser questioning him. So really, though, you do set it up where it could go either way, but there's still that unfinished Judgment Day.
That's exactly
Damian
what I was going to
Priest
say
stuff.
next if you didn't. Yep.
It's like, yeah. But the Judgment Day stuff is now seemed there's internal friction. Which I find hysterical a few months ago when Finn Balor was throwing Damian Priest out because it was just like, well, there's no leader in Judgment Day. And now it's just like, but it's my clubhouse. It's like, because really Finn Balor is just trying to be leader because he wanted to be leader. No leader in Judgment Day. Now he's just dealing with Dom's bullshit again.
So I have to segue here for a second. I don't know if you read this or not, or saw it live. I don't know who he interviewed with, but apparently Dom said something to the effect of that he thinks of Finn Balor as like a stepdad. Yeah. Apparently he's always looking out for him and shit. And I'm just like, oh, okay, buddy. Whatever you say. Feel like that's kind of a heavy-handed compliment, considering who your dad is and considering what a douchebag you tend to be on television.
It's amazing though, where it's we're 2 years of how interesting 2 years has been with him. 2 years ago, I was just like, get him out of the fucking business. 2 years later, I'm just like, God, he's good. He's so good at this. Just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
what a complete dichotomy.
He's still not number one, sorry, but we'll get there.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
No, but it's just, I expect Gunther to retain, but you're right with the LA Knight stuff. That switch could happen. And maybe it should. Maybe it should. Maybe it is time for him to get the boost as the world heavyweight champion. But still, I look at what they've done with Nakamura historically, and I've just been like, I wouldn't be surprised if they fucking beat him.
Yeah, I don't.
Would not be surprised.
Listen, Nakamura's been a mid-card champion before. I think stranger things could happen. I just think
Intercontinental champion for a shit ton of time at one point.
Yeah.
Not Gunther time, but a long time.
No, he was almost the better part of a year, if not a little
Yeah.
bit longer. But I listen. I don't hate Nakamura. I think he's incredibly talented. Obviously, I just think that as a return, especially with a new gimmick, you're kind of putting him in a weird position. And do you have him go over, especially in a title match against one of your most over talents? I think that's really hard to say. And then I think if you're trying to boost somebody on their return, especially with a new gimmick, you don't put him in this position anyways. So it's a weird match. I know they've been working together on the road. I've heard that. I'm fine with that. It's just when you're putting him in this position again against one of your most over talents, if not just in the industry as a whole, like he's way over. It's just really, really weird. It's a weird choice. So I think LA Knight should go over, but I mean, like you said, kind of what I was, speculating on before, maybe it is time to make a switch. And then if you do that, I think LA Knight, truthfully, if you want to get him where he needs to be or where he should be, you move him to Raw. Raw needs more faces, especially faces that are not involved in other shit right now. Just saying. And Rollins is involved in this whole stuff with the Bloodline and with Bronson Reed. CM Punk is kind of in the same boat with the Bloodline. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, both involved in the Bloodline. You know, there's a lot of anchors there. And then you have Damian Priest, who's involved in this and is probably getting involved or re-involved, I should say, with the Judgment Day, like you said, because I think that's the most logical choice. Have Finn Balor come out, cost them, and then you restart that feud going into the end of the year, going into WrestleMania. So where's that land Knight? You know, he's on a show with, again, a lot of baby faces. He's on a show with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, who he is like a distant third compared to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to keep him there.
It makes sense. Plus, I bet you Netflix would appreciate him going.
Oh God, they'd love it. They'd love it.
All right, yeah, bring him on.
Yep.
No, you sold me, but also I think it's yeah, like. Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea that if he loses, a switch to Raw wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd be a great thing. So
yeah. But speaking of Raw, we have 2 Raw matches for the final 2 matches that we didn't really discuss. I guess we kind of did discuss Damian Priest.
he's retaining.
Yeah, Gunther's going to retain.
Yes.
I do foresee Finn Balor coming out and costing him the match again. I'd be shocked if it doesn't happen.
There are no leaders in Clubhouse. There are no leaders in Judgment Day. But my Clubhouse! Shut up, Finn.
No, it doesn't say no homers. It says no homers. Oh my goodness. I don't know. I think that's just the way it's going to go for that, you know, truthfully.
Finn Balor is ready to get.
Sorry, Homer. I know I butchered the joke. God damn it.
Finn Balor is ready to get the no ma'am shirt from fucking Al Bundy at this point.
Yes.
Like he's just ready to just put that fucking. He's just like, I'm sick of this shit. Yep. Every time I just want to be able to just hang out and not have to deal with. Because every time that a woman has been involved with Dominic Mysterio, there has always been some sort of fucking baggage. It's like, get him out of here, please, for the love of God. Then that probably, because then it's just like you're not only dealing with Dom's problems, you're dealing with the woman's problems. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment about Tiffany Stratton when that happened, but I'm just not gonna do that because I don't want to think about that. Sorry. Yeah. So again, I think we said enough about that show.
Yes.
I know it's the World Heavyweight title. It's the biggest quote unquote match outside the War Games matches for the evening, but it's just this match might even lead off. Who knows?
Who knows at this point? I think they're actually going to start the show with probably one of the War Games matches.
Yeah, I do.
Probably the women's match.
Yeah, I think that's what happens the last few years, if I'm not mistaken. They start with that, do a couple matches, then have the men finish it out with the War Games match.
Especially with Roman and CM Punk involved in the match. It's like, that's fucking going main, and you know it.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I want to say before we move on to the last match that we didn't talk about, I think I know we didn't really spend too much time on it, but I think it's ironic that he returned at Survivor Series last year, and now he's returning again at Survivor Series this year. But not only that, but I think he's probably the only person in at least recent memory, if not just in general, that can say that those last 2 matches were both cage matches.
I know.
He had a Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, and now he's in War Games at Survivor Series.
I think he wanted the War Games checked out. Like, he probably
100%.
He wanted that checked off his resume. It's just like, please, I want to be in this. Like, it's just because, you know, he grew up probably watching Crockett and WCW. Absolutely. Was just like, fuck, I want to do this so badly. I mean, and they tried at Ring of Honor, CCW, I think, at one point, but, you know, it's not the same. This is much bigger scale, much bigger stage, the amount of talent that's involved in this. So, no, this was definitely like a bucket list thing thing for him, which I don't blame him 100%.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in freaking Elimination Chamber either, just for the same stuff. You know, I just wouldn't.
He's been in that before, so I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
if he was.
he actually retained the championship in 2012.
That's right, because
Yeah.
he was champion, and
Yeah, he
it was
retained the
time when they
championship
had
in
to do it
2012.
that way. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I remember.
So he's done it. So he's been involved in that before. He's won. So for him, that's not like a big deal. But War Games to him, I think, is a huge deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm not surprised that he's
No,
involved in
me
this
either.
whatsoever. So
Like I said, it was him, Rollins, and maybe like one or two other people that I would have thought would have been on Team Roman. So I'm not surprised it's him, especially as
Brock would have been interesting. Brock would have been
just
really
didn't see
interesting.
it would have been, but I just didn't see
I
it.
know. No, I get it.
Having a different but still OG Paul Heyman guy answer that call, I think is phenomenal. And like you said, checking off that list for CM Punk, I think is great for him, honestly.
The only other option, well, it's the Big Show.
No. Anyways, moving on. So we kind of went in a weird order here, I know, but this was one of the newer matches that was only announced on Monday Night Raw this week. The Intercontinental Three-Way is an interesting matchup, I feel like. We have Braun Breaker, we got Sheamus, and we got Ludwig Kaiser.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be a great match.
It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
Out of all the matches
easy.
that are not War Games matches, I feel like this is probably the best match. It's probably going to steal the show outside of those matches, like I said.
I agree. The problem is, there's also other matches on the card, like Gunther and Damian Priest are going to try to outdo everybody. There's so many matches on the card where it's just like, well, we're trying to top that motherfucker. Which is kind of a good culture to have in a locker room, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I kind of wanted to touch on this because I've heard the reports this week that a lot of people in WWE are pissed off that like friends and families aren't getting comp tickets. And, I did hear though that AEW was able to give them whatever they needed, even people in WWE.
Got to get those seat fillers.
I literally pulled the joke. I'm waiting for Brian Griffin to walk in and be like, so were you up all night thinking about that? I'd be like, 2:30. You know? Because it was awful. I knew it was going to be bad, but I was like, I have to do it.
Hold on. I think I hear something in the background about this joke.
It might, I don't know. It might be 0.
0 stars.
Right.
0 stars from Dave.
Damn it!
0 stars from Dave Meltzer.
It's like WWE won't give me my comps. Well, AEW will. Shit. It's it's unfortunate that they're complaining, but at the same time, it's like, this isn't 5 years ago, pal. Like it's different. It's a different ballgame. You're dealing with, at WrestleMania, you could have done that. Like you could have done that at certain years because things were bad. Like, they're just looking to fill seats. No problem. It's different now. It's so much different now.
It's not even just that. There is obviously that. I'm not going to, sit there and disagree with that. But it's also, this year they've had more international shows than they have in the States.
That's true.
So I think it's a lot harder.
They're not paying for the airfare on that one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think this is their second Canada show, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. They had shows in Scotland, in Germany, in France, in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
In Australia. In Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Like, how are you going to sit there and ask this company to then not only put the tickets aside for you, but to obviously just comp everything?
Look,
I think that's really hard.
I can't. The thing about it is that WWE is the hottest it's ever been as a ticket.
Yeah.
And as a television product and a property in at least a quarter century. Maybe, well, okay, maybe 22, 23 years, somewhere around that. Because you think about 2001, the big wrestling crash when it was like 10 million, then it was down to 5. So literally you lost half the audience that you had at one point. But now it's, and things are only really going to get hotter come Netflix.
I mean, listen.
I'm sorry it's not like it was 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago when you could make a phone call and it's just business is really hot. They're trying to cram as many people as they can, paying customers, mind you. Paying customers. They're breaking box office records almost every live event they're doing now. It's insanity. They're doing unbelievable numbers. And it's not just in considering the fact of everybody, and I love it, everybody's making, well, no one's going to the movies that much now, like, because look at the box office numbers this year from a lot of these movies. There have been concerts.
Better movies.
There have been a ton of concerts that have not really drawn. A lot of acts have had to cancel tours. Jennifer Lopez, well, it's because of other reasons as well. Like exposed, things of that nature. The Black Keys had to cancel their tour as well. A bunch of acts were really under the gun as far as touring was concerned, as far as drawing and things of that nature. But WWE, people are going to UFC fights as well. They just sold out Madison Square Garden and could not fucking believe the ovation that a certain guy got. That I was like, that's Madison Square Garden, and they're going fucking crazy.
People are going to boxing matches too, I guess.
Yep. People going to boxing as well. That sham of a fight. But people are going. People are going to sporting events. And WWE is in that category right now of just like they're a really hot ticket. And I think that, again, that the talent needs to realize, look, you're making more money now, right? Spend it. You want your family to go to fucking WrestleMania. You have to drop $100K. Sorry. Where? Like, Jesus. Like, I especially in Vegas next year, it's like, oh. You mean to tell me you can't get a room for like $200 a night? Like, come on. Poor shit.
I mean, listen, even if you do, you spending $10,000 on the 2-day pass. It's...
Or blackjack for that matter. Gotta play the odds of the percentage.
I see it. That's why I was laughing, because I knew that was coming.
But it's always
you gotta wait for when idiot hits. Gotta wait for when idiot hits. You gotta play the odds and the percentages.
Oh my god. I have that saved in my phone. That bet was almost 20 years ago in my life.
I think it was 20 years ago.
It's still just like 08, somewhere around that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's.
Oh my god.
Oh, I miss those days.
Yeah,
I miss those story days where you just sit there. I remember I took a nap over the last weekend, and I was playing some bits. And what I ended up waking up to was the Antolini thing that happened that summer of 08.
Is that the Nicolini thing?
The Nicolini, yes, okay. the Nicolini thing. Okay. And they did 2 parts of this. They did the actual relationship and then the aftermath. Oh my God. And they just supercut both of them. So you're talking 8 hours each.
I remember him talking about the breakup for like well over an hour that day. And
It was the most
I
entertaining
don't-
radio I've ever heard
yeah,
in my
man,
life.
I don't think I laughed so hard in my life because he's already like this crotchety old man at this point. And he was just like, yeah, it was done.
That's
He
how I
talked about
roll.
it, and then finally, yeah, it was done.
When he said "That's how I roll" to,
Oh my
it's-
God.
I
lost it.
don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life. And considering, oh God, she was in the closet. Yeah, they found her in the closet. Which closet? Well, not my gun closet. It was just a clothing closet. And it's, how long have you been fucking him? About 3 months.
Oh my God. I don't know how she didn't kill him or how he escaped that house unscathed. I don't know. And to this day,
My
I still haven't
entire
figured it out.
relationship, he's been fucking you. Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh man.
I don't ever know how he scored that in the first place, but it was just hilarious.
Well, you know,
The one thing,
you got cash.
yeah, that's true. The one thing that always cracked me up about that story is when he had everybody over, and he's like, you know, we have a really big announcement, and everybody's like, oh my god, you guys gonna go? No. But you save 15% or more on a cars. That one always got me because I can see him pulling a stunt like that, and I'm just like, oh my god, yep.
I just,
I am sorry that for those that are watching or listening that are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? I
the
can't
Opie
say.
and Anthony show.
I wasn't even gonna say the name, but yeah, we'll say.
I'm going to say the name because
We'll say that, and that's it. We already kind of said the other person's last name, and I think that's enough. So
no, I didn't say that. I don't.
I know
I
you
said
didn't.
Antolini. That was what I made the
I
reference
know, and
to.
I said her last name though. Was what I said.
Oh yes.
But other than that, yeah, we're leaving it right there because that's just I won't get sued. Anyways,
we wouldn't give you. No, they
I
wouldn't
know
sue
we
us.
wouldn't. I'm kidding. God, jeez.
Anthony would probably appreciate it.
You're like, oh yeah, I remember that shit.
No, he'd be like, I like these guys.
Yeah, that too.
Do you want to come on Compound Media? I don't know.
You gonna pay me?
I don't know.
Am I gonna keep my name out of
know.
the headlines? Like
I don't know.
Eh,
I don't know.
eh.
It's like, because I still remember, especially when me and Steph started dating, and they're Long Island. I'm like, oh God, I hope I run into him. And then within a couple of years, I was just like, oh God, I hope I don't run into him.
Yeah.
Because there was such a time that it was just like we just looked at him with such reverence of just like, you're my hero.
Every time I see a nice car speeding down some of the parkways, I think it's freaking Anthony.
Yeah.
I
Well, he's in
just,
South Carolina now.
well, I mean, when I first moved here, though.
Yeah, I know. No, I get it. Like that first,
Couple of
every
years,
time you're on
yeah.
that fucking expressway, you're just like, oh man, I know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like,
And it's funny because you know, having lived here as much as I have, and then commuting back and forth between here and Massachusetts, obviously, and other places in the general New England area, I often pass headquarters for the WWE, whether that be in Stamford, you know, off of I-95 now, or the previous Titan Towers where they used to be located. I'll occasionally see like those limousines near these buildings on I-95, and I'm just like, I bet that's Vince. now it's I bet that's Hunter. But yeah, back then when I was
I bet that's Nick Khan.
yeah, Nick Khan. I bet that's Stephanie.
Bet you that's Dwayne.
Nah, I don't really think that, but
I have a feeling he's going to be around a lot fucking more nowadays.
yeah.
I think his acting career
Actually,
might
you know what?
be
I'm sorry.
over.
I don't know. Moana 2, but then red one. I'm not sure.
You know, it doesn't make any sense.
What?
Moana, they're filming so Moana 2 is coming out, right?
Yep.
And they're currently filming a live action version of Moana.
Yep.
So they're not even waiting like 20 years in between these. They're just like, we're just going to do a live action film within like 5 years. Are you fucking kidding me?
Welcome to Disney.
They have
don't wait
nothing
anymore.
else.
They don't wait anymore. They just
Even
don't.
though I'm going to give them like $5,000 next year.
Yeah. I did want to say though about Titan Towers. I think it's in Stanford as well, actually. Anytime I pass Titan Towers, you still see the flag, the WWE flag, even though they've moved. And all I could think of is when Austin took control of the company.
Oh, God.
I'll have another cold beer.
I'll have another cold. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't drink coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning where I'll come from? I'll have a cold beer. Mr. Austin, can I get you something to eat? I am kind of hungry. I'll have another cold beer.
when he was in the board meeting and he just started firing people and Jim Ross was giving you like was burying the fucking guy. It's just like, I've never liked him. I haven't liked him in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, just gone. Just, that was some fun stuff.
That was.
God, every time I pass that building, the two things that I always thought of was the first Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, God.
Because that was where it was filmed, and that was also like where the guy got thrown out, and Vince is just like, get it? Yeah, we get it, dickhead.
Yep, exactly. I just remember Mankind sitting on the third floor that overlooked like the lobby area.
The atrium,
Have a nice day.
It's like the Undertaker's just like walking. We're wholesome family entertainment, and then I think Rock's walking down the hallway and he's got his eyebrow thing, and Kane's just sitting back with a coffee. This is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it was for its time. It
really was. No, it still is. I still feel like that's one of the better Super Bowl ads that they've done. There's some bias in there, but still.
No, of course. Yeah.
Some of those Budweiser ones, those fucks. Those Budweiser ones, they either make you laugh or they make you cry. It's just like the Clydesdale with the dogs. You're like, ah! Oh, the dog and the Clydesdale. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
that took a turn.
So we were going to close out with tonight. You know, it was funny because I was thinking about tonight because I'm like, maybe we should do something kind of special, talk about like Survivor Series of years past with our memories and things like that. And
you don't want to talk about the gobbledygooker again?
No. Like but then the 30 for 30 thing came in, and at 30 under 30, I was just like, well, that's a segment. Especially too when you looked at the list, you're like, I hate this thing so much.
All right, so I finally
30
found
under
it.
30.
Yep, finally found it. So let me preface with this is 30 under 30 whole list. It is not split by male or female talent. It is just straight 30 under 30. So if I need to clarify that, I guess I'll just do it in advance. These are the top 30 wrestlers, male or female, under the age of 30. Okay, so if you don't hear somebody, it's probably because either A, they didn't make the list, or B, they're over the age of 30. Okay, just let's get that out of the way now. So as I said, I'm going to start from the bottom. I'm going to go in increments of 5.
I'm going to give live react. Well, should I do live reactions or should we wait?
You can, but I figured that's what we'll do 5 at a time. Because I think there is at least 1 or 2 that are noteworthy in each grouping of 5.
Okay.
After looking at this list, right? And I don't know if you caught it because Dan had to step away for a second, but there are some weird ass names in this list, man. And I just looking at number 28 especially. I hate your name, guy. So let me switch to you, and I'll list them, and then you could react. So
Okay.
starting again from the bottom. So number 30, Yuma Anzai. Number 29, Dragon Lee. Number 28, and I shit you not, this is this person's name, Shun Skywalker. Number 27, Jamie Hayter. Number 26, Julia Hart. And I'll stop there. So
Jamie and Julia Hart are definitely in the wrong company.
we've talked about that before.
Jamie especially because she just came back at all in.
Yep.
And we've barely seen her the last 3 fucking months.
Yeah, and Julia Hart, as we talked about, I believe last week actually, was relegated to Ring of Honor.
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and disagree with their placement because Julia is still very green. Jamie Hayter was out for an extended period of time.
Jamie was on a roll though.
She was
on a huge roll.
She was, but if she didn't go out, I think she would be ranked higher. I'm going to say that, right? I think Dragon Lee at 29 is a huge disservice, though.
I do too. I think he's more in the top 15, top 10 in my opinion. But it's also like it's just a very quality list. There are a lot of names on this. I'm like, except these first 5, there's really 3 that kind of stick out to me. And
I know.
So it's like, you know.
That's why I want to start from the bottom, because I feel like starting from the top, it's just like,
yeah, it's redundant, and it's just like, where else you gonna go?
Yeah, nowhere but down.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I think we can agree that Julia Hart at 26 is
Yeah.
Jamie Hayter at 27 is
Jamie's coming off an injury, and I know it. So it's an every year list. If it's an annual list, and I get it why she's ranked this low.
Right.
And the same thing with Julia, because I know she just came off an injury, but she was a damn good TBS champion.
She was.
So
She absolutely was. But Dragon Lee, I think, is probably the most surprising.
Huge disservice.
Yeah, I not even just of those first 5, but just in general, he should be much higher on this list, especially as you get closer to the top of the list. You understand why we're saying that.
Yes.
Okay. So, 25, Utami Hashishida. I probably butchered that. I apologize. Number 24, Gabe Kidd. Number 23, Yuma Aoki. Number 22, Logan Paul. And number 21, Dan's favorite wrestler, Wheeler Yuta.
Oh, fuck. How are you going to have Wheeler Yuta ahead of Logan Paul?
That's exactly why I paused.
Wheeler Yuta, okay, if you're going to rank him, he should be like 30th or like 29th.
Should be off the fucking list, actually. But
he should be off the list. And you got him ahead of like Jamie Hayter, Dragon. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. And listen, that's why.
Who did this list? So it's Sports Illustrated, right?
I believe so. ESPN. ESPN.
They're just fucking pissed that they lost the goddamn thing to Netflix. Like they're pissed at this because this is, and their affiliation. Oh, they're just pissed because this is too. Even though Gabe Kidd might be a little higher considering the fact that he's a real big name on the rise. He's got Kenny Omega in the Tokyo Dome come January.
But that's why I don't mind putting him at 24 right now.
Right now, but and he actually should be higher than Wheeler Yuta, to be quite honest.
Well, no shit. I mean, that's not up for debate, I feel like. But
all right, dude, so you're 23. You're not 24. You're 23. So that's not bad.
But I feel like even Logan Paul at 22 is stupid, especially behind Wheeler Yuta, first of all. But second of all, Logan Paul, I don't think has much of a sample size as nearly anybody on this list, number one. And number two, some of the stuff that he's pulled off, like, I don't know, man. I have a hard time putting him at number 22. He should be in the top 15, I feel like.
He should.
And considering who's number 15, and it's also who is next on this list, period, right? Not just next period, but in terms of the next 5, Logan Paul at 22 is also disservice, I feel like.
Yes.
For especially as a non-wrestler, I feel like. You can make the argument he's a wrestler now, but compared to the rest of this list,
Logan Paul was slaving away in the indies, so
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
he didn't get his. That's the one thing I kind of hold a little bit against Logan Paul is the fact that he never did indies. It's the same thing, he never.
Them anymore. I did it first. I totally get you, but
At first, I did.
Yeah.
At first, I did. Now I don't. It's more or less like, okay, kid, you've earned it. Even though, and at the same time, because when you're on the stage like that I don't want him to come off like he's working for AEW. I want him to be working with the top talent in the world, and I want him to be a seamless transition. And luckily for him, it has been.
100%.
Luckily for the audience, it has been. So it's like, get him in top 15, top 20. But I feel like this is really low for him. And again, the fact that you have Wheeler Yuta ahead of him. Who did this list? Meltzer? Like, what the fuck?
Probably. All right, so let's move on. So number 20, Roxanne Perez. Number 19, Mascara Dorada 2.0. Number 18, Tiffany Stratton. Number 17, Hook. And number 16, Jordan Grace.
Oh, they did list Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were looking at that list at first and we didn't think that she was on there.
No, she was on it, but I thought she was over 30. That was...
No.
For whatever reason, I always confused Jordan Grace as being older.
Yeah.
I think she's
I think because she's been around.
31. Yeah, she's been around.
She's been around since like 2016, 2017. Well, I first started hearing about it like 2016, 2017.
Right.
So it's like so she started out, I guess, really young and then has gone from there where, she, the fact that this is still the bottom 15, right?
Yeah, she is number 16. I mean, listen, we still have the top of the list to go. I think
Tiffany Stratton's not in the top 10. The fact that she's in the bottom 15. This list is really frustrating.
See, this is tough, man. This middle of the group is tough because I think Roxanne at 20, I could see her go up a little bit. I don't know Mascara Dorada well enough to say anything. Tiffany Stratton behind Hook, though, I don't agree with. I don't. If you take him out of 17 and just move Tiffany up to 17, I do feel that Jordan Grace and Tiffany Stratton are almost interchangeable at that point. But
I was really high on Hook. I haven't been high on Hook probably at least a year, year and a half.
Booking. That's the booking. But
that's the booking, right? But at the same time, it's like if we're booking on an annual basis, if we're doing this list on an annual basis, he's top. I'd put him in the bottom 10. I wouldn't put him in the bottom 15.
Right. That's the thing.
Because I think he's got a lot of promise. Don't get me wrong. I just think again he's in the wrong company.
Yeah. I
put him in NXT. That guy's going to be a killer within 2 years.
Yeah. I actually agree with you.
I don't give a shit what anybody
Here's
says.
my problem, however. I'm not going to say the whole next 5. I'm just going to give you number 15. Because I think putting this person at 15 above all of the previous 5 that I just mentioned from 16 to 20 is just a massive disservice to all 5 of those people.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
Jack fucking Perry.
No.
Okay.
Jack Perry is way higher than he deserves to be. We'll get there.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well,
okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
No. You're good. Don't worry about it. I think that's actually a great tell. And the fact that I'm telling you he's higher is even worse to me. But that's besides the point. Number 15 is Theory. I have a hard time putting Theory a place above Jordan Grace, 2 places above Tiffany Stratton, and 4 places above Roxanne Perez. 5 places, I'm sorry.
Okay. Should he be listed? Yes.
Not at number 15.
No, not ahead of those. No. That's way too high for him. Like, no.
All right.
Not ahead of those names, no.
All right. So let's go up the list. So again, 15 is Theory.
Mhm.
14 is Chris Statlander. 13 is El Hijo del Vikingo. Number 12 is Kato Kiyomiya. And I probably butchered that. I apologize.
It's fine.
And number 11, I will stand it for the crowd too. And number 11, which I probably actually agree with the most on this list in his placement, is Braun Breaker.
Oh, yeah, but I think he should be higher. He should be in the top 10.
I agree that he probably should be top 10, but I think
Outside the top 10 is annoying.
it's annoying, but I can live with it. I think
I can too. Yeah.
I think he is placed very well. I do think that there are a couple people in the top 10 I would knock out and move him into those slots.
Exactly. That's the thing. Because if you're already telling me that Jack Perry is in the top 10, it's like, well, Braun Breaker should just literally run to his house and spear him out of the fucking wall.
Yeah.
So that's what Braun Breaker should literally go to his house, ring the doorbell, and when he's going to answer the door, he should just come up behind him and spear him into a fucking oblivion for being even ranked higher than him. This is absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
The fact that he's ranked 11th and there's other guys I'm sure that I'm going to be like,
Oh my
And
God.
El Vikingo,
I don't hate it. He is a great talent, man. He's going to be in WWE next year. Let's be
he
real.
does the same thing every time,
does,
though.
but
Like,
I mean,
it's just like me and John used to talk about it quite a bit. And he the best analogy he gave me we were talking about him. He's like a magician that does all his best tricks every single time. And they're fantastic, but at the same time, it's like the tricks wear off after so.
Yeah.
And he just seems to be one of those guys for me. Maybe he'll change it up. I don't know. Maybe if he gets like with the right people, like a Rey Mysterio or something, that just says, do this more, do this less, and says, and then gets it from that, because I think he has all the athletic ability and talent in the world. I just think that he needs to be able to channel that in the best possible way for a longer career and a meaningful career.
I'll give you that. I think that's fair.
God, though, some of these names already that they've listed of just.
Well, it's about to get shitty, my friend.
Okay, let's continue this drug
think
fest.
10 through 6 is probably the worst. I'm just gonna tell you that now, and you'll figure out why very quickly. I feel like. So number 10, Shota. Number 9, Daniel Garcia. Number 8, Kyle Fletcher.
Okay.
Number 7, Jack Perry.
Fuck your mother.
Hold on.
God.
Hold on. Let me finish. Number 6 is Takashita. Now, go ahead. He's like gouging out his eyeballs over here.
Like I'm having a stroke.
I know.
It's just
I
like
read this list and
my eye is twitching a little bit. I'm like, because it's
Shota. I mean, not at 10. Daniel Garcia, definitely not at 9. I don't know the last time I saw Kyle Fletcher. Number 7, Jack Perry.
Kyle Fletcher just beat fucking Ospreay.
Yeah, I didn't watch the match. That's probably why.
But so that's why I don't hate it, because he just beat fucking Ospreay in a fucking killer match.
Yeah.
And Fletcher, in my opinion, has a lot of upside. I think that
Yeah,
I think Daniel Garcia even has a lot of upside as well.
he does.
Um,
But
I've
I don't agree with ranking them there. Mid
Garcia.
okay, but
No, Garcia should be in this list. He should just not be where he is. Top 20, yes.
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm not
You know?
disagreeing with you at all. I 100% agree. I don't hate that Daniel Garcia or Kyle Fletcher
Jack
or
Perry shouldn't even be
Takashita.
fucking listed.
Jack
He
Perry
should be
should
out of the
be-
fucking business.
Jack Perry should be like number 30, if not off the list. Listen, like the only thing he's added is like the scapegoat, and that's it. And even that's like,
What are they going to do with him now? He lost the TNT championship.
I don't know.
Like
I don't
that,
know.
because now that storyline with the Bucks and Okada not being involved, so that's done. So now he's left pissing in the wind because he's no longer involved in the top program. That was supposed to get him over as a heel with the whole thing with Tony, and it did shit. It was so bad, in fact, they had to do another hostile takeover within a year with another brand of misfits. It's just,
Yeah,
it's just, he has just been awful, just so bad. And I just, yeah, I don't know.
The only person I agree with, and I don't even know if I agree with that placement either, but it's Takashita. I'm okay with him at 6. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either.
I don't, I think he's excellent.
I think he is too.
I just,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's
I could go
it's
heads or
tough.
tails on it.
Yeah, I mean I think he deserves top 10 though, and that's why I don't hate him at number 6. But Danny, you ready for your top 5?
Might as well.
All right, number 5, Mariah May. Number 4,
Higher than Tiffany Stratton, higher than Tiffany Stratton, higher than Roxana Perez, higher than Jordan Grace.
yeah. Bullshit. Excuse me. All right, so that's.
I mean, she's great. Not above
5.
them.
Not number 5. Not top 5. I'm sorry. I love Mariah May, but she's not top 5 talent. So again, your number 5 is Mariah May. Number 4.
Even though the way she's fucking with Mira, I don't like that. Mira is a goddess, and you even have to admit it.
I'm not touching that. Number 4 is a different goddess, the goth goddess, Rhea Ripley. Number 3, Toni Storm. Number 2.
Wait.
What?
Wait.
Yes, Toni Storm is above Rhea Ripley.
What?
Yeah. We can talk about that in a second. Let's get through the list here. Come on. Number 2, MJF. And your number 1, 30 under 30, is fucking Dominic Mysterio. Dirty Dom.
Ahead of MJF. Mind you, MJF.
Ahead of Rhea Ripley.
Ahead of Rhea.
Ahead of Toni Storm.
Toni Storm. Ahead of Mariah May. Ahead of Jordan Grace. Braun Breaker. Jordan Grace. Takashita. What the fuck? Is he top? Like,
hold on. I have an analogy for you because it's relevant to previous conversations that we have had about other talent being over. We'll say it that way. I remember having a conversation on a different show with you and with the host of that show about how Seth Rollins was over, and how the host thought we were saying this because of Seth Rollins' music and how everybody was like chanting along to the music and stuff. Just because Dom elicits a certain reaction does not mean he's over, whether it's a heel or a babyface, because let's be real, he can be over as a heel, because that's still gaining reaction. Just because he's over in any way, shape, or form does not make him a top 30 out of 30. Just saying. It should be all of those things. Don't get me wrong, but it should also be your talent in the ring. And I am sorry. I'm sorry, as they say in Canada. That's not fucking Dirty Dom Mysterio. It's just not.
As a persona,
I still don't think he's number one on the list.
Even MJF is accredited him and saying that he is the best heel in the industry. Yeah, even MJF has said that. And MJF is something he has strived to be, even though his recent AEW affairs not so much.
I get it, but I don't think it's his fault.
He's got enough pull.
I agree.
He's got enough pull that if he really cares, he'd be able to. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he really is just like, I'm here for the check. That's it. Which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the majority of the guys in that company right now.
Well, the wrong con is paying him, just saying.
Exactly. He should have known it's not about the money. It really shouldn't be. The fact is that it's going to, your contract now is going to be great, but you got to worry about your next contract. It's like the NFL. You know, you're going to get the rookie deal, but it's the contract after the rookie deal where you really make money. Go ask Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's really hard ranking some of these people, like we said, right? And looking at number one just proves that point, because to your point, like I didn't look at this list on the website on ESPN. I got it from Booran or from you, whichever. And it's a copy and paste job. I don't know who wrote this article, wrote this list, but they're wrong. I'm just gonna bottom line it that way. They're wrong. I have a hard time putting Dom against a good chunk of this list. Is he talented? Yeah. Is he getting a reaction? And like you said, MJF himself has mentioned that Dom is probably the biggest heel in the industry right now. Doesn't make him a top 30 under 30.
No.
He's in the conversation 100%. He's on the list 100%, but it is not number one. I think that if we're going to look at that, I think MJF, for the men, I'll say it that way, probably deserves number one. Dude, he's in the conversation. Let's be real. He's more in the conversation. He is in the conversation.
He is. MJF is in the conversation. Of course he is. But my problem with MJF is right now is the fact of there's all the goodwill and the good work that he put in a year ago, especially with everything that he was doing with Adam Cole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is now gone.
That's fair. I don't disagree.
You look at his character now, and you look at 5 years ago, you look at 4 years ago, you look at 3 years ago. It's the same fucking character.
Yep.
Nothing's changed. There's no evolution to it. He's still doing the same gauntlet storyline for these guys that have to go through a bunch of guys to beat him, face him at a pay-per-view. Did it with Roderick Strong. He's going to do it again with Adam Cole. It's nauseating because a guy of that talent should not be doing the same rinse and repeat cycle of booking over and over and over again.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You don't do that to a guy like that. You don't go do it to a talent like MJF. You just don't. He's a special guy. He's somebody that you need to be able to put in a top program. Instead, right now, what's he doing? And I'm not making fun, and I'm not trying to hurt Roderick Strong's booking power whatsoever. I am not trying to insult him because I think Roderick Strong is a fantastic talent. I am a huge fucking mark for the Undisputed Era. Yeah. But everybody knew he was not losing to MJF at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. You don't book that match for a pay-per-view.
You just don't. That's a dynamite match.
Yeah.
And it's a competitive dynamite match. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But it's not a pay-per-view match.
Nope.
And So now what? You got to go to World's End. So now that's what it is, right? It's going to be Cole and MJF. How it started a year ago, we finish it there. It's like, but this fucking thing is cold anyways.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit about Cole and MJF right now. So it's like,
Yep. And looking at, I feel like it's a women's revolution here because 3, 4, and 5 is Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Mariah May. I don't think Mariah May should be in the top 5. Even
No.
if she is number 5. I think that, not for nothing, really should belong to Jordan Grace or Tiffany Stratton. Probably Jordan Grace, honestly. But I have a hard time with Tony above Rhea. I just do. I can't take anything away from Tony Storm. What she was able to do as time with Tony Storm is just really been fire. But it's like I watched. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was her, Soraya. I think it was. And it just looks so bad. It really did.
I don't know if I'd put that on her. I might put it on Soraya
It was
because
a little bit of both of them. I'll say that. I saw the match. It was
see the
not
problem.
great.
I think the problem that I have, especially with Soraya right now, is the fact that she's not in ring as much, and the fact of
Well,
too
she
that
shouldn't be.
she shouldn't be. But when she's in the ring too, it's just she's sloppy because she's not in the ring enough. And she shouldn't be in the ring that much at all. To be quite, it's just,
No, she shouldn't.
it's just all these dichotomies of just like, yeah, she looks bad in the ring because she shouldn't be in the ring.
Yeah.
And she shouldn't be in the ring, so she's not in the ring that much. It's like this complete like contradiction to itself. And God, and the problem is that I love Saraya. Like when she was Paige, my God. You know.
Listen, she even looks great now, even if she's a little bit more plastic. It's fantastic, but still, like it. She does look good, but when it comes to her in-ring work, it doesn't look good.
No.
And
10 years ago, when she was on the scene in 2014, she was not only a damn good worker, but she was also like one of those, again, where Tiffany Stratton is, of just like a pinup model. But she also
she was
got
the
like
cock-up model, yeah.
exactly. It's just which fit right up some people's alleys. But yeah, I'm not. Don't leave me hanging here, pal.
Did we like do a role reversal here? Because that's usually the other way around how this works. But okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
that's.
I feel like whatever grave you have dug yourself today, you're just trying to dig it deeper. You're like digging.
No, it's not even that. It's just the fact that should dissipate. Hopefully, who knows?
But
Do I grovel? What do I do? I don't know what to do in this situation.
I don't talk about other women in wrestling like that. That's for sure.
She wouldn't even get mad at
Nah,
that.
she probably wouldn't.
She wouldn't care.
I just, when it comes to Tony Storm, though, going back to that, getting off Soraya because she's over 30. Sorry, not sorry. I know I'm not supposed to talk about women's ages, but I guess I have.
No,
to,
it's fine.
Considering the context of the conversation.
Yes.
I don't know that I could put any of these people, especially Tony Storm, though, if we're talking about women, above Rhea Ripley. I just, even with the injuries, it's hard to do so, I feel like. Because she's just been fire for that company at this point. It's like, for everything that Bianca has done as a face, I think you're going to start seeing Rhea Ripley do even more. And apparently Rhea Ripley outside of wrestling is also just like a sweetheart, I've been told and have heard from different people and different stories and stuff. And she also doesn't need to go to a press conference and sweet talk Tony Khan and tell him that he's doing a wonderful job and then Tony Storm is in a wonderful place now because isn't she retiring now, I heard? Is that the story that
No, I've heard.
It's just I don't know. I think Tony at face value is a wonderful talent. I think, as I said before, I'm not going to take that away from her. She has been phenomenal as time as Tony Storm. It's worked. It's been something fresh and something new. But dude, if you're comparing her to Rhea Ripley, it's the same conversation we had earlier about the Yankees versus the Expos, who no longer are even a team. It's like night and day. And I Mariah May at number 5, I think is a huge disservice. A lot of talent. Not just female talent like Jordan Grace, but other people too. And if we go back down the list again, Dragon Lee at what, 28, 29? Makes no sense.
Right.
Like, this list is just all over the place. And I know there are going to be people that are listening or watching on any of the places you get your podcasts, just saying, that are like, oh, well, you guys are E-feds or whatever the hell you guys call us these days. I don't even know what that means.
E-drones.
E-drones, E-feds, like, whatever, man. Like, I don't know. But that's not what this is. Like, I like MJF a lot.
I do
like
too.
Some of the AEW talent. I like Viking O.
I've complimented MJF.
Exactly.
I don't like his booking.
Tony Storm for like 2 solid minutes. Like,
same thing.
Exactly. And Jordan Grace is not a WWE talent. She's a TNA talent.
Yet.
Like, yeah, it's true.
You know it's coming.
No, it definitely is.
She's pretty much like,
I feel like it's at the point where it's confirmed without confirming it.
She's got a deal memo. They're just like, we can't announce it yet. Okay. You know.
Oh, I think they could. They have that deal with TNA now. But you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
I think as soon as that's expired, she's in the Royal Rumble or whatever. Just, whatever. But I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe she's gonna win the Intercontinental title. That means like, who the hell knows?
And look who has entered the tournament. Holy shit! What?
Well, that's over. Yeah. It's and again, like I want to say what I started with here. It's like, if you didn't hear somebody like Cody Rhodes or Chelsea Green, it's because they're over 30. That's the only reason they're not on this list. Because I know there's a lot of people, like, we're talking to a couple people about this list, and they're like, oh, why isn't this person on the list? Well, they're over 30.
Yeah, exactly.
The list even says 30 to 30.
Over 30!
Yeah, exactly. Ageists. It is tough, though, with this list, I feel like. And, what I would truthfully suggest, whether you're listening or watching, or if we reach out to some people, put in the comments. If you watch on YouTube, put in the comments who you feel should be top of this list or how you feel about the placement on the list. We'll see if we can't get this as a post on the social media pages for Pro Wrestling World as well. The Pro Wrestling World, excuse me, to get a sense of where people feel like they should be placed on this list. Because I think it's been a great conversation about it. We could spend so much time talking about this, but I'd really like to hear what other people feel about it, because I again, like, oh, E-Drones, of course you want this person to be number 1. And it's like, that's not what this is. It's just, I generally don't feel that Dominic Mysterio should be number 1. And he's an E guy. He's a WWE guy. I don't agree with Dominic Mysterio being number 1. I think Dom has come a long way in the past couple of years. I think he is getting great reactions for what he's doing. But some of that's not even him.
No.
He's a do shit. He talks and people boo the shit out of him. He doesn't do anything anymore.
No.
But that doesn't mean he's number 1, 30 under 30.
No.
It just doesn't. So, like I said, let us know in the comments. Let's see if we can get this as a post on the Pro Wrestling World social media pages. Let us know what you guys think about this. But yeah, also, like I said, everybody have a happy and healthy and safe Thanksgiving. Enjoy Survivor Series this weekend. But I'm ready to go to bed. What about you, Dan? You got anything else?
Pray for me. No. I want to be able to say thankful. I am thankful to the audience. I am thankful for Pro Wrestling World for allowing us to command the ship here at PWW Talks. And I hope all of you, the listeners, all of you, the viewers, whatever way you're watching this or listening,
Wherever you get your podcast.
yes, wherever you get your podcasts or YouTube under Diamond Podcasting Productions. I am thankful for all of you for listening and also for the time that you spend listening to us ramble at certain points, go off in a completely random tangents. Some of these episodes, yeah, they may have contained like half wrestling. Some of them may have contained like 30% wrestling. But I appreciate all of you, and I'm thankful for all of you coming along for the ride. So on behalf of myself and Mac, I hope everybody here, including in this program and everybody listening across and watching, I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holidays. And we will see you all next week to talk about the Survivor Series. Enjoy it. And I will see you all next week. We will see you all next week. Got to include you. I'm sorry. It's not all about me.
Toodles.
Bye, everybody.